Hello everyone. I almost can't believe these words are about to pass my lips, but welcome back to the Demon Souls livestream series. Now, I would imagine that many of you watching have not actually seen me play this game because part 69, this is part 71 that you're watching now, part 69 was done 3 years ago, and part 70, the one that preceded this one obviously, was sort of a one-off recording that I did in 2022. So, it can be said that I've had plenty of time to, distance myself from this game, recharge a little bit. You're certainly not going to see a sort of frequency to the recording of this series that would have been seen, say, in 2019, 2020. It's just not going to happen, I don't think. I've got other games that I want to play, and I have played a lot of this, but definitely you can expect to see more of this, at least for the next few weeks. But just in general, it's not going to be put completely to bed in the way that I had done earlier on, like basically between 2022 and 2024. Just a little bit of trivia for those of you who perhaps are more recent viewers of mine. This series was actually my very first livestream series that I'd ever done. It was done in 2019, which, strangely enough, was my 10-year anniversary year. The 10 years of Doomlink. It's now 15 years since I started, but as far as live streaming is concerned, the very, very first live stream that I ever did, was part 1 for the live stream series of this game. What you're seeing here is going to be a little bit different. The reason being that I'm actually emulating this time around, which I'm very excited about, because when you're recording with a capture card on physical hardware, it's not going to be quite the same. Basically, I would always be adjusting the colors a little bit, I'd be adjusting brightness levels for the game itself, because I could never get it quite perfect visually. It always looked a little weird. Of course, because it's a PS3 game, I could only ever record in, I think it was 1080 interlaced. I believe I was recording at 1080. Or it may have been 720. Maybe internally it was only ever 720. I know in the emulator here, it is 720 maximum. So maybe that's precisely what it was, but one way or the other I can tell you that it was interlaced. It was never progressive scan. So that was a consequence of the copy protection of HDMI on the PS3, so that's not going to be happening this time. It's all in the box, it's all on the computer, and I can tell you that for the most part, emulating seems pretty smooth. I suppose the main reason why I'm excited about it is because it is an improvement upon the previous 70 parts of this series, visually. But in addition to that, it's just something a little different, it's adding to the adventure that I'm going to experience here while playing through the game. I have to warn you that this game is really only intended to run at 30 FPS, and I'm going to give 60 FPS a try. I don't know if it's because I'm just not used to 30 FPS gaming anymore, but I did try to play at 30 FPS, and within about 60 seconds, I had a headache. Just the movement of the camera was blurry, and it was truly terrible. I've been playing Souls games somewhat recently, and it's all been at 60 FPS, and I think I've just become a bit too used to that, but a friend of mine, AJ, who is in fact the entire reason why I'm playing this game right now, because he started emulating the game, and then I thought, fuck, maybe I should give that a try. And yeah, he thinks that it just doesn't emulate very well. It's not as smooth as it would be on a physical system. But, I shouldn't say physical system. This is physical. It's on a bloody computer. It's, the original hardware. Probably runs better there than on the emulator. But anyway, hello P-Berry, hello Rome. I can tell you that it took quite a little bit of work getting my save files off the PS3. That was something that I did. These are obviously my save files for the European version that you're seeing right here. All of the save files that I have access to now are the ones that you are going to be familiar with from this series. Obviously, you're not going to be familiar with them if you haven't watched the series, but basically there is continuity. It's not just going to be new save files. I wouldn't have wanted to do it that way, at any rate, because there's a lot of history that I can look back on for this series, and I'm glad that the characters are going to be intact, even though I'm moving to emulator. But it was an extensive process. I don't want to... Look, I'm not going to go in depth about the process, but basically I had to jailbreak my PlayStation 3 and use a save tool to get it off, because there is actually copy protection on the save files for Demon's Souls. Now, not all PS3 games are that way, but Demon's Souls is. It's really stupid. It's terrible if you want to back up your save files, and yeah, thank you, Sony, for doing that. Alright, so I actually just had to make a small edit there in the VOD, because I loaded into the game and I realized that it wasn't running very well. I had to do a restart on my computer, probably to remove some temporary files that were slowing things down a little bit. This is the first time I've actually recorded the emulated version, so I suppose we can expect some teething issues, hopefully not very extensive ones, but we'll see how we go. There is uncertainty as I record this game emulated here, because as I mentioned before, this game is not really designed to run at 60 FPS, but just to save my eyes and my sanity, I'm going to give it a try. But there may be some issues. If we do run into any game-breaking issues that prevent me from proceeding, or if there is a particular weapon that I'm using which is being negatively affected by 60 FPS, I might switch back to 30. Probably not permanently, just for as long as it feels necessary to do so. For example, AJ, the person who was getting his emulated version of Demon's Souls up and running, which then prompted me to do the same, at 60 FPS, apparently with the club, or at least in his game, I don't know if this is universal, or if it's just his particular game when running at 60 FPS, the club that he uses actually bounces every single time. It seems to actually bounce on mid-air, like in mid-air, or at least without having to make contact with anything. So he turned off 30 FPS, or rather he reverted back to 30 FPS and it did solve the problem. So you can get some very strange game-breaking issues with 60 FPS. We will find out how things run. I've chosen the Dexterity build to return to this time, because it's just a fairly standard build. You know, it's comfortable, I don't have to put much thought into how I'm progressing. It's nice and easy. My weapons here, I will introduce the build to you all, because I would say that most of you probably haven't seen the builds that I have actually made in this series up until this point. This is Teresa. Some of the names are serious, some of them are not. You know, nice names versus silly names. This is one of the nicer ones. And it is just a standard dexterity build. You can see that there's a focus on endurance, likely to give me good equip burden, or equip load, I should say. The burden is as it sounds, that is the amount of stuff that you have equipped. The load is how you refer to your maximum capacity, carrying capacity. Just a reminder for those of you who are not as familiar with Demon's Souls, you do have item burden in this game, so the weight of things in your inventory is a factor. You can see that we're actually getting quite close to reaching our maximum item burden. I think vitality affects item burden. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to the Maiden in Black, just to familiarize myself once again with what kind of upgrades will affect what stats, because again, it has been some years since I was regularly playing this game, so I do need a refresher, I think. Where is the Maiden in Black? She's usually wherever you last went to an Archstone. Why is she not here? Has she not yet appeared? That must be what it is. She hasn't yet appeared. So I've entered New Game Plus, and I haven't completed Boletarian Palace yet, so she hasn't actually, and by that I mean World 1.1, so she hasn't appeared yet. I believe I'm correct in saying that item burden is influenced by vitality, so I might actually see if there's anything that I can put away to lighten my load. I don't really need Soul Brand, so I'll put that away. That's something we would have received from the final boss. That can go away like so. Don't really need the Catalyst. I'll keep this other stuff just in case, because Old Ragged robes can be, or the Old Ragged set, can be equipped if for whatever reason my armor breaks. So yeah, this build is starting with the Wanderer class. I don't really have much luck, but you wouldn't, I don't know why I'm even mentioning luck, I'm just sort of going from the bottom. Luck is not really a worthwhile stat to invest in this game. It doesn't have any noticeable effects. It does actually scale with some weapons, or perhaps only one weapon. The Blue Blood Blade is a weapon that I can think of off the top of my head. There may be others, but the Blue Blood Blade, if you really want to use it, that'll be your luck build. So, I don't know, there might be a luck build that I do at some point, but it's not really a priority. I think there will be some builds that I don't even continue doing, like my fist only build, that feels like shit. I don't like that build at all. Also the Windmill Rapier build, I don't know if you guys remember that build, that was a little bit eccentric. So that was where I was using the large sword of searching to do all of my parrying, and what it would do is you'd do like this maneuver. I don't know if you're familiar with using, say, a rapier or a thrusting sword to do your parries in like Dark Souls, where you have like that almost rotation of the wrist to do your parry. Well, imagine that, but with a massive sword, so it basically spins like a windmill. So it was my Windmill Rapier build, very unusual. I will probably do another run of that, but I don't think I'll keep it. I do technically have unlimited character slots. I can just move save files around if need be, because I'm on PC now. And you can even do that on PS3, you can just make multiple profiles. But I don't really see a need to keep builds that are a bit silly. We'll see. Maybe I'm actually going to really enjoy the Windmill Rapier build when I return to it. Yeah, anything else that's noteworthy on this screen that I should mention? Well, you can see it anyway. We're Soul level 86, just beginning New Game Plus. As for the weapons that I'm using, I have 3. So we've got the Blind, Sharp Uchigatana, so that would be an Uchigatana that has been, I suppose, augmented to be better scaling with Dexterity, even more so than usual. Still remains an A scaling, I don't think it ever goes to an S. It may do at +5, but who knows. And we've also got the Hiltless. Now, I don't know if the Hiltless upgrades through Sharpstone, or if it upgrades through Colorless Demon Souls, I don't recall. But it is considered a special weapon, so it probably doesn't. Like, if I'm thinking of the Makoto, for example, that probably doesn't upgrade through Sharpstone, so I would suggest that this doesn't either. This is the sister sword to the Makoto. So the Makoto is a katana that will actually deplete your health steadily as you have it equipped, whereas this weapon will only deal damage to you when you make contact with an enemy. So they're both katanas that will hurt you. I suppose the best comparison that I can make to the Dark Souls games would be the Chaos Blade from Dark Souls 1. That particular weapon is the equivalent to the Hiltless. Something that will actually slowly but surely deal damage to you every single time you make contact with the enemy. It probably required Colorless Demon Souls. Colorless Demon Souls are basically your Twinkling Titanite. Stuff that is used for special weapons. This is definitely going to be upgrading with that as well. Sharp Uchigatana is still at +4, because getting pure Bladestone in this game is pure bullshit. It's a truly unpleasant experience, one that I would not wish upon my worst enemy. Just imagine the most repetitious grind ever, and it just goes on and on and on. I don't like Dark Moonstone either. Dark Moonstone grinding with those fucking lizards in world, what was it, 4-3? Unpleasant. Not a fan. I might actually refresh my live stream, because my playback has actually died on me. Yes, come on. But yeah, I think I would have said this when I went back to my Japanese build in previous parts, but I'm sort of at a point in the livestream series where I want to return to some of my older builds rather than just creating new builds endlessly. Ideally, I'd like to get to New Game +7 on all of my builds, and then, you know, I can just do New Game +7 runs whenever I feel like it, because that is your maximum level of New Game. It's quite an achievement, but there, obviously, you are required to play the same character 8 times in order to get there, so it is time consuming, and possibly by the time you've taken it to +7, you will have had your fill of actually playing through that character. It's time consuming, but there you have it. This weapon here, a very important weapon for the build. It's actually the weapon that is used by the character who gave me this armor set. So this is very much cosplaying as a character from the game. Selen Vinland is her name. I actually quite like the look of the weapon. It's actually transparent. Looks a bit like an insect wing. Like, I don't know, a dragonfly's wing or something like that. And it completely ignores shields. Completely. It doesn't deal too much damage, that's part of the balance of it. It's not an extremely damaging weapon. Definitely the hiltless is going to be our damaging weapon. But this is, consider this my sidearm. This is something that I just whip out if I've got an enemy who's turtling me and just causing trouble. I can whip this out and then completely ignore their shield. There are some weapons in this game that ignore shields, and this is probably the most fast attacking example. The shottle is in this game, but that only ignores shields on the R2. But this will ignore them with all attacks. The shottle is also dexterity scaling, now that I think about it. So both weapons would be interchangeably effective, but I think this does a little bit less damage than the shottle when fully upgraded. Now, the large sword of Moonlight, in other words, the Moonlight Greatsword, is a shield-ignoring weapon in this game. I think the logic behind that was that it's a magic weapon, so it doesn't have as much solidity or something like that. Maybe it just passes through things. I don't really know how it works, to be honest with you. I don't know the logic that they employ to explain how it ignores shields completely. It would be natural, of course, for it to deal magic damage through a shield, but still, you know, have that sound of making contact with a shield, or actually bouncing, but still dealing damage. But no, it actually does completely ignore the shield, as if it was never there, so there you have it. Alright, let's go to Boletarian Palace. Again, this is New Game Plus, so the enemies are going to be a little bit stronger, but they're not going to be all that troublesome in World 1-1. At least one would hope not. Sorry for the rather long introduction. Something that P-Berry actually mentioned was how much nicer the UI is, and this is just a theme of older video games. There's more of a stylistic design to older heads-up displays and UIs and things like that. Making them more simplified is a more modern occurrence in video gaming, and to be honest, everything's like that. You know, just look at architecture, for example. Look at all of the expressions that can be seen from an architect in old buildings, and then look at buildings now. They just look bland and drab, and you know, that's an example. It's not just in video games, it's in everything. Everything is becoming a little bit less stylistic and stylized, I would say. Maybe not literally everything. There are probably examples where things are improving, but yeah. Definitely not in the case of UI and things like that. I remember when Dark Souls 3 came out, I was completely disappointed. I mean, I wasn't planning on playing Dark Souls 3 at the time. That's a long story that I'm not going to rehearse again. But essentially, when I saw that that heads-up display, the health bar, the magic bar, and the stamina bar, I was really quite disappointed and disgusted, to be honest, because it just looked like nothing. It just looked complete. It looked like it was unfinished, like they hadn't finished designing it. I mean, I would actually say that what you're looking at here is quite, like, it's not excessive in any way. It's not blocking the game, it's not over-designed, but it's got a little bit of character, you know? There is absolutely no character whatsoever in the heads-up display of Dark Souls 3. It is bereft of what could be referred to as character. I'm one-shotting everything, which might not be... Come on. Sort of looked like my sword was not making contact there, but I'm going to assume that that's not related to the frames, and probably just related to me positioning myself really bad. I'm the only original Demon Souls streamer at the moment. Well, there you go. that's actually a weird thing about Twitch. So the stream categories, unsurprisingly, there are many, many more people following the original Demon's Souls because obviously it's been out for longer. But it seems that people are actually using the original Demon's Souls to stream the remastered version. I say that because when I did actually go live, there were 23 people watching this and only 6 people watching the remastered version. So what that would say to me is that people are just using the wrong one. They probably think that the remastered version must be the one with more followers, right? It's weird. So, like, for example, Dark Souls 2, the original one has more followers, but you get more viewers with the Scholar of the First Sin version. And I think there was another example of that. Yeah, it's not so much that. I was actually thinking of the original Dark Souls. So Prepare to Die Edition, or the original Dark Souls in the Twitch category, obviously has many, many more followers than Dark Souls Remastered. But everyone is watching Dark Souls Remastered. They're not even checking the original Dark Souls as far as game categories are concerned. So, yeah, it's a funny thing. Basically, the number of followers that something has is not indicative of what is the most viewed category at the moment among different versions of video games. It's only indicative of how long it's been on Twitch, in this case. And I can tell you that in the case of Dark Souls, even though the original has more followers, definitely more people are watching the remastered, so there you have it. This is really annoying. Just bouncing off the wall with my sword. I'm not going to mention any possible instability or strange occurrences based on the frame rate, because I might actually start getting paranoid and then seeing things that aren't unusual and then attributing that to the frame rate. Like, for example, the fact that I'm bouncing on this wall, that feels a little bit unusual to me. I feel like... See that? See, I feel like my sword shouldn't be bouncing on that wall. That feels a little strange, but I could be entirely wrong to find that unusual. That is the final time that I'm going to mention that, until something actually game-breaking happens. Alright. So, you will have noticed, and I will draw your attention to it if you haven't noticed, that I have been taking a little bit of damage every time I make contact with an enemy. Ow. I'm running into really obvious traps that really should be well established in my mind as traps that exist, but I'm rather foolishly walking into them anyway. There we go. Yeah, if you're a little bit worried about animations dragging on for too long, like for example that, you can just cancel out the animation by, say, shielding. I tend to do that. I did it just there without even thinking. It's just a habit, apparently. You know, when your hands do things and you're not even really thinking about it? Well, that's what happened now. So apparently that is a procedure that I follow. Still hit me. Fucking hell. As you can see, the boulders, or I suppose we could say the environment. Environmental damage does not increase when you go into New Game Plus, evidently. Might actually pull out the blind. As I say, it doesn't deal as much damage, but these enemies, because we're in the first area of the game... Oh, see, look at that. Did you see that my weapon was bouncing, though? This weapon actually ignores shields, so if I'm attacking an enemy and it's bouncing, that should not be possible. That was something that I discovered, actually, where... just previously I did a running attack with the blind here, and I barely ran forward. So look how quickly you move here. Then if you do a running attack, you basically stop. I'm used to running attacks being precisely that, running attacks. But it didn't happen there. What I just saw, with my blind bouncing off that enemy, has forced me to make a decision. I will not be playing this game at 60 FPS. I cannot do it. Because if I'm going to be bouncing off an enemy with a weapon that should not ever bounce off an enemy, it means I cannot endure the strange behavior of 60 FPS Demon's Souls on the PS3 emulator. I shouldn't have even shown you it, because now you're going to compare it. it's going to look like a lower frame rate, because it is. It is precisely half the number of frames that you were previously watching, but I can't do it. I didn't work that hard to get 60 FPS running P-Berry. Everything else took a lot of time to get working, but this was pretty easy. What's a shame is that, you see, it's not like I've downgraded here. I still would rather do this than play on the PS3, because it's easier, it's consistent, like I said before. I was always adjusting the brightness and the colors slightly when I was recording before, but now it's just going to look the same every single time. That's less for me to worry about, and yeah, I'm much happier with that. Okay, 30 FPS, mwah. Doesn't it look nice? So I'd love to just demonstrate, there we go. As you can see, I can completely ignore his shield. I want to demonstrate it a few more times, come on. There you go. He's not going to do anything to me. Because, oh, prick. Oh, I've actually caused him to start bleeding. Do you hear that sound of a heartbeat? That's not my heartbeat. In case I needed to clarify that. I don't know if you noticed that, but the animation for parrying and riposting? Riposting, yeah, that's the word. Parrying and riposting, it is a little bit outdated. I would say that this game, visually, has aged very well. It's because, interestingly, the late 2000s was probably the point where all other improvements to 3D video gaming would be very slight. Just small improvements. All of the really big improvements happened during the 2000s, and around 2008, 2009, that is when they reached that point, I'd say, where, well, perhaps you could even say 2006 or 2007, that's where really you got to the point where I can play this game in 30 years' time and it's not going to feel ancient. You know, and it's so interesting that you can play a game from 2009 and it doesn't feel ancient. Then you'll play a game from 2004 or 2005 and it may actually feel quite dated. So, yeah, just an observation, but I would say that one thing that hasn't aged very well would be the parrying animation and the riposting, and I would say, probably in addition to that, the backstabbing. Because what happens is, whatever position you were in, it almost, the way you position yourself once the backstab is successful, it looks a little bit awkward. They do actually, if I recall, move your character's position when you successfully do a backstab so that you are actually directly in line with the back in Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2, etc. But in this game, it just feels a little bit weirder. Just a little bit more awkward. Incredibly, I'm backstabbing an enemy with this. Like, it's just a basic Dregling in World 1-1, and a backstab cannot one-shot this thing with the blind. So this weapon definitely does need a little bit of upgrading. In fact, I might actually switch to the... Well, let's just use the Hillless. It's hurting me, but so be it. Ooh, did not intend to do that attack. Yeah, occasionally I will accidentally do this. Definitely not what I was wanting to do. But just as you're playing through the game, and perhaps you might even accidentally knock the analog stick, you will accidentally do that. Alright. Yeah, that's a good point as well. I was talking about how emulating here at 30 FPS instead of 60 is not going to be a downgrade as compared to playing on the PS3. And P-Berry is right to say that on the actual original PS3, you do get terrible frame drops. So, yeah, I think this should function better. This should be an improvement over that. I'm sure it's still, how do I describe it? Poorly optimized. But it's probably better optimized than that. I don't have that much health with this build, to be honest, so I'm still quite comfortable using Crescent and Half Moon Grass. I'm just going to hold off on using Full Moon and New Moon and let it build up in the later areas. I'm not actually going to get Full Moon Grass at any point at this stage of the game, but, well, I actually might. because I've decided just now, just in that moment when I was thinking about Full Moon Grass, I thought that I might actually go and engage the Red Eye Knight over this way. But yeah, I'm just going to hold off on using it because it's not really necessary. I may as well just use the grass that I'm accumulating as I play the game here. Definitely increasing my vitality is something that I need to do with the build. It's only at 22, which is quite low for New Game Plus. As you can see, I've definitely focused on endurance and dexterity. I would suggest, primarily because I wanted to be able to use 2 weapons at one time, without actually making use of the Ring of Great Strength. I bet I have it, but I just haven't actually used it. I do have the Cling Ring equipped, which is totally unnecessary. I will probably use the Thief's Ring to indicate what level of new game I'm at. I tend to use rings in order to determine that. In whatever it's called, the original Dark Souls game, I use the Ring of Favor and Protection to indicate that. So I suppose in this game I'll use the Thief's Ring. What would be good to use? What I really should have acquired was the Eternal Warrior's Ring. I quite like that. That's basically, you know, Chloranthy Ring. That's what it's called. I'm always thinking of equivalents, and I think the reason why is because you've got Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, where things carried over. Whereas in this game, it's all different. You will often have equivalents, but they are referred to in different ways. Like, for example, this is the Red Tearstone Ring. So, but it's called Clever Rat's Ring. This Red Eye Knight here, it's not a good idea to fight him if you're playing through the game normally. So at new game level, I tend to do it. I have done it before. You just backstab him and parry him. That's all you do. But he's extremely damaging when you come here for the first time. But you see the dissimilitude between his damage and my damage, or rather, his health and my damage, is much smaller when I'm in New Game Plus, versus, for example, coming here with almost nothing. When you are in World 1-1, that's it. You've basically got no soul level. Well, you certainly have only the soul level that is attached to your class at the beginning of the game. And obviously, your starting equipment. That's pretty much all you've got. So, there you have it. Oh god. So apparently at 60 FPS, according to AJ, when you go into the Fire Lizard room in World 2-1, when they aggro, all of the lizards fall down immediately, which is truly terrible. I don't know if you've noticed it, AJ. Don't know how long you've been playing. Sorry, how long you've been watching. But I have actually decided to play at 30 FPS because I'm bouncing off enemies with a weapon that ignores shields, which is completely unacceptable. I'm not going to countenance that sort of bullshit. So, there you have it. Let's drop down here and get our Thief Ring. What I don't understand is how I have 3 Thief's Rings. Does that mean I'm in New Game Plus 2? That shouldn't be possible. Can you get more than 1 Thief's Ring in a playthrough? Maybe you can. This is going to get very confusing, because I looked at my playlist and I hadn't done a New Game Plus playthrough with this build, so I assumed that it was New Game Plus 1, but it might be New Game Plus 2. Well, I don't know, is there any other way that I can determine this? My assumption was that you only got 1 per playthrough, but it could be incorrect. Is there anything that I have that can only be acquired in 1 playthrough? Geez, I've obviously used a lot of Stones of Ephemeral Eyes. I suppose if I had more than 1 Red Eye Stone... See, I've only got 1 Red Eye Stone. Can you have more than 1? I don't remember. Probably not. In the same way you wouldn't be able to have multiple Nexial Bindings. Yeah, I'm a little bit confused, to be honest, that I've got 3 Thief's Rings. There must be another way to get one. You can get 2 of those rings in a playthrough. Well, in that case, let me just remove the one that I've got. Can I drop it? Yes, I can. Let me go here. I will use the Thief's Rings to indicate it, but just go to make sure that I don't confuse myself with that. Storm Rulers? Yeah, Storm Rulers would be a good example. But mine's in storage, of course. Apparently, Potato is very displeased by the combination of equipment that I have right now. Is it because of the Knight Shield along with the Dull Gold set? I mean, I'm using a full armor set here. This is just the way it looks, but maybe he takes issue with the shield, I don't know. He said that that his brain hurts at the sight of it, so I don't know what that's about. This is Mr. Ostrava. I'm not going to bother talking to him. I'll just go down and deal with these enemies. Yeah, I don't need the Cling Ring equipped, so let's change it for something else. Ring of something resistance, I'm sure. Let's just, yeah, we'll equip the Ring of Avarice. So obviously that is essentially the symbol of avarice, but in ring form. Or possibly more helpfully, it is the Silver Serpent Ring. I really need to do better than that. Let's use a Full Moon Grass. You probably also noticed that we did get some Full Moon Grass from that Red Eye Knight, and that's precisely why I was reminded of the presence of the Red Eye Knight from having mentioned Full Moon Grass, and the fact that it can't really be acquired. Indeed, with the exception of that Red Eye Knight, it can't be acquired. Alright, well if you're just gonna fucking walk around, then I'll kill you, mate. Something that you will notice immediately when you play Demon's Souls after having played the Souls games that came after it, is how quickly you move with a light build. It's incredible. I mean, look at my speed. Subasa. Just look at this. And then obviously if you do a running attack with something like a katana, look at that. Beautiful. I won't go down there because there's really no point, to be honest. Actually, let's go down there. That's not very adventurous, is it? Maybe some of you would like to see what's down here. It's basically some hardstone and sharpstone. Very useful when you're just coming into the game. Seems that when an enemy is dying and you swing your weapon at them, you still... Let's actually test that again. So you still lose health with the Hiltless when you attack a dying enemy. Watch this. Do you see that? Did you see that second swing caused me to lose health? That's really uncompromising, isn't it? I mean, that is basically this game in a nutshell. The fact that even if I'm not technically making contact with the enemy, or I'm not actually dealing any damage to them, they still take my health away. It's so unfair. Alright. So there's your hardstone and your sharpstone. Don't pass up on that when you're playing in New Game. It's not a good idea. Apparently Bloodborne has a similar thing. I will actually apologise to Peaberry. I think he would have... He hasn't made mention of it, but I think he would have preferred me to do a new build, probably. Because what it looks like here is I'm just coming through World 1-1 and just beating on everything. It almost looks like I'm cheating, like I've loaded some really strong stuff at the very beginning of the game. But, you know, while the enemies are dealing lots of damage to me, that is the reality of New Game Plus. You tend to be very strong, still, but the amount of damage that the enemies deal is exponentially higher than how it would have been in New Game. So, it's just the way it is. He says he doesn't really mind. I'd say maybe some people would have preferred to see a new build, but again, this is the 71st part of this series, and I would like to go back to builds that I've done in the past. I think I was intending to do older builds. This particular one, this Dexterity build, was actually started around the part 50 mark in the series, so it's not as old as some of the builds. So revisiting this one is not as necessary. That was a terrible parry on my part. Because of the nature of parrying in this game, you really knock the enemies back quite far. I'm doing really poor, or I'm doing a very terrible job at positioning myself in relation to the enemy so that I can actually hit them with my weapon, if you haven't noticed that. Anyway, what was I saying? Completely lost my train of thought there. Anyway, I'm sure it'll come back to me. I am, by the way, sitting on 102,000 souls. Just a fun fact for you, once again, positioning myself quite terribly. Yeah, I can tell you, you still get kind of shitty performance. Not anywhere near as bad as the hardware version, or the version on physical hardware, but it's not great. In other words, you can still get a sense of that really poorly optimized gameplay performance. That was weird, I didn't actually get any indication of your health. Like, your health bar did not appear when I attacked you there. Strange glitch. But yeah, there is a good example of what I was mentioning before when I said that environmental damage does not actually increase when you go into New Game Plus and beyond. That obviously applies to damage dealt to you, as well as damage applied to enemies. Those boulders would normally kill all of those enemies just there, but because we're in New Game Plus, the health of the enemies has increased. It's probably a good indication of the degree to which health has actually increased. Fuck off, man. Just using the blind because I've decided that I didn't want to deal with their shields, and that really is an acceptable way of approaching things, because if I've got the blind, may as well make use of it, hey? I'm just prompting the dragon to breathe some fire. I don't know why I'm even attempting to parry after I'd already successfully shielded you. Here comes the dragon. Again, probably not very... That hasn't aged very well, has it? The dragon. That's alright. Not that big of a deal. Again, there's nothing offensively outdated about this game. But I can tell you when it came out, oh, it looked absolutely beautiful. This game looked beautiful when it came out. And I still think it looks great. It looks really nice. I really don't like being in the presence of the dragon, because it causes everything to shake. That's one thing that I really hate about World 1.4. If you're familiar with 1.4, the final part of this archstone, the final section, you get that fucking dragon breathing his fire for the final boss. It is just truly asinine. Because, okay, so he won't be breathing the fire if Bior, is that his name? Yeah, I think it's Bior of the Twin Fangs. If you have spoken to Bior and freed him, he will actually serve as a distraction for the dragon. But he will stay alive. And he will serve as that fucking distraction for the entirety of your confrontation with the boss. The final boss. So, almost tempted to not rescue Bior for this build. Or for this, run of New Game Plus. Yeah, alright. Congratulations. But yeah, inevitably, because I'm using the Hiltless, I am going to be healing myself a lot more than I otherwise would be. Some of you might actually have not clocked the fact that I am losing so much health. You may have, however, clocked the fact that I'm healing a lot. It's not because I'm getting hit a lot, although I am not exactly playing amazingly. But, yeah, it's mostly the sustained damage from using this weapon. There's another example of still losing my health even though the enemy is dead. Thank you very much. Game. What you're seeing as far as Poison Cloud, I'm not actually going to use it. I suspect that I used it to kill Selen Vinland. She is very hard to kill. The Black Phantom of Selen Vinland is one of the hardest to kill in this game. So I just cheesed her with Poison Cloud. That's the way I do it. Apparently you can modify world tendency by playing online in RPCS3, which by the way is the emulator that I'm using. Here's the Scraping Spear. Fun weapon. Very fun to use online. It's interesting. But yeah, apparently world tendency can be adjusted, or it's different when playing online. That's another reason why I am actually emulating. It's because online, is very much an option. Online play can be achieved here on the emulated version. What's the best way for me to go about fighting these guys? I think it's a bad idea to use the hilt list, to be honest, so I might actually use... In fact, what am I even questioning here? This is much better. Using the blind. No, I do actually want to... At least I believe so. I do want to kill the small enemies because I think they are healing the phalanx. Weirdly, I don't have a specific memory of that. Let's just do that. But did you see that? Like, I'm quite sure that I was making contact with the phalanx. The actual boss, but it wasn't dealing any damage, which is a bit unusual. Maybe I'll try that again. That seemed a bit... Okay, now we're dealing damage. No, I don't think this one does heal itself at all. That is the case, however, with World 5-1's boss. The blind just tears through them. Despite the fact that I'm not using the Hillless, and the reason why I didn't use it was because if I'm making contact with all of those enemies, that's going to spell certain doom for me. But yeah, you can see that because we're in New Game Plus, I am losing a lot more health, or rather taking a lot more damage when fighting these enemies. Excellent fight, by the way, for getting materials for the early game. These enemies are essentially the ones that you want to be grinding if you intend to upgrade your weapons early on, or upgrade them beyond what you normally would be able to. So if you're relying purely on the materials that you naturally pick up just by progressing through the world, you're only going to be able to upgrade your weapons to a certain point earlier on. But if you're so inclined, you can grind a little bit more from these guys. I don't know how often you're going to get the next level of upgrade from them, though. I'm sure they drop large shards. It's a little bit slow going with this fucking blind, isn't it? I'm definitely feeling the lack of damage as I come into New Game Plus here. I hope this isn't too loud, by the way. It is too loud, isn't it? Let's lower the volume a little bit. That's fucking too loud. Alright. The problem is... Oh, apparently I have the trophy system in-game here, or in the emulator. That's interesting. It didn't carry over my trophies, so... whatever. I'm actually not at all concerned about that. But, yeah, obviously I did beat the phalanx before this point on this save file, but it's not registering that. What's going on with my controller? Hurry up. I think I unplugged it accidentally. But, yeah, that boss fight was too loud. It's not entirely my fault. It's because the game itself is much quieter in all circumstances except for when you're in a boss fight. Boss fight's extremely loud, everything else. There isn't much ambient sound, you know. Well, there is a lot of ambient sound, but it's very quiet. So, there you have it. Alright, there's the lead Demon Soul. Always wondered if it's the lead Demon Soul or the lead Demon Soul. Who knows? Well, I'm sure someone knows, but I don't. I suppose I would have to check the Japanese version, wouldn't I? But I suspect that it's a bunch of kanji that I couldn't read. Alright, we will go and speak to the Monumental, and then we'll actually do some leveling up, because I do have my souls from New Game still, and I also have the Beast Demon Soul to consume, which I believe gives me another 200,000. And that is an important point to mention. If you carry over into New Game Plus, you won't be able to level up with your souls immediately. As in the souls that you acquired from killing the King Allant boss. You will have to progress through World 1-1, speak to the Monumental, and then release the Archstones. Then you will be able to upgrade, or rather level up, through the main in black. Oh, right, so there are actual servers that you can still connect to on the PS3. That makes sense. I had never looked into it because, to be honest, I don't really make use of online. I'd say the main reason why you would want to go online here in Demon's Souls, whether you really engage with it or not, is to get the monk's head collar for a magic build. And I don't think I have that for my magic build, but whether or not I would intend to use it, I'm not entirely sure. But if you want, like, the most damaging possible magic, you would, you know, use Ring of Magical Sharpness, I think it's the Crisp Blade, and also Monk's Head Collar. With the Insanity Catalyst, is that right? I think that's the combination. But yeah, that is like the most damaging possible magic that you can get, and it is, indeed, extremely damaging. How it compares to other games, I'm not sure, but it's probably very, very strong.
What is it? Dost thou seek?
I do seek soul power. Don't answer no to that. Bad idea. I hate listening to this. I bet I still remember it. Soul of the lost withdrawn from its vessel, let strength be granted so the world might be mended, so the world might be mended. It's because I've heard... Do you know how many times in my life, over the last 15 years, I have heard that woman say those words? Soul of the mind. You know, it's fucking hell. Like, why do I have to hear it every single time? I don't mind you doing it occasionally. But surely even you must be getting sick of it by now, lady. Okay, as I said, vitality is a really important thing for me to be upgrading at this point. I'm going to take it to 25 and then leave it. In fact, I'm not going to level up just yet. I'm going to consume these. Now, I haven't actually used the Storm Demon Soul. There might be a reason for that. What can I make with the Storm Demon Soul? I believe that's used for second chance. What else? Well, let's consume this. I don't think I need the lead Demon Soul for anything, do I? Perhaps I do. Let's just leave it alone for now. I'll consume these. There is no quick way of consuming these in this game, I must tell you. You have to do it one at a time. I mean, obviously I can equip them so that I can do it from the consumption section. I don't even know if that's a good description. Consumption section. Do you know what I mean when I say that? You know, my equipped items. Expendable items, let's just call it that. But yeah, I'll keep the Beast Demon Soul because that's something that is really only ever used to acquire souls. I think you can do something with the Main in Black Demon Soul. But the Beast Demon Soul definitely is only for souls. I could actually be wrong about that. Maybe both are just for increasing your souls. I shall indeed use this Demon Soul. And I will show you my soul counter. Because I'll be able to level up a decent amount here. I'm only soul level 86, so... The plan is to take myself to not soul level anything. The plan is to increase my vitality. We'll take it to 25. It's not a huge increase, but I do want to get dexterity to 45. But there may be other things that are important to look at as well. Obviously, leveling up in Demon Souls is very different. You can't actually see, or rather, you can't allocate things and then finalize it. Every single time you level something up, it is done individually, and it can't be taken back. So, yeah, I mean, I was obviously used to it when this was the first Souls game, but these days I'm not quite as used to it. Let's take you to 25. We can level up a few more times, but not many more. Strength is probably going to stay at 18. I don't know what I actually took it to 18 for. What would that have been? Perhaps it was for the Hiltless. Let's have a look. I'm interested. It would have definitely been just for a stat requirement. Yes, it was done for the Hiltless. That's quite high, actually. I would not have guessed that the Hiltless required 18 strength to use. What's the logic behind that? Is it quite heavy? Might be quite heavy. Why on earth does this sword even exist? Because just to be clear, when... Like, you're just gripping the metal. There is no handle, there is no guard, there is nothing. There is no hilt. That's why it's called the Hiltless. But why? Is it an incomplete sword, or is the hilt just worn away? Because the hilt is worn away or something. Yeah, that's why it hurts when you use it. Very nasty.
Thou seek then soul of the mind, key to life
Alright, so do we want to increase dexterity? Probably. I think I might take it to 45 and then really leave it alone for a while and then just focus on vitality. Does that sound like a good idea? Let me look back at my health now. That's okay. That's definitely manageable. It's not very interesting though, is it? Like, pretty much once I get dexterity to 45, it's going to be vitality for possibly the rest of New Game Plus. I will return to dexterity for sure, but I just want to get my vitality nice and New Game Plus appropriate. Because that's the thing. You want to increase your vitality for various levels of New Game beyond the first one, because the enemies are going to deal more and more damage as you go along. It's not going to get any lower, so you need to really increase your vitality to match that. You just need to be able to take heavier hits, that's the idea. But it's not really going to be relevant for my Morian Blade build now, is it? Just to be clear, my Morian Blade build, I seem to recall doing a recording for New Game Plus, and it being an absolute train wreck. I remember that. I really struggled. I think I died maybe 4 or 5 times getting through World 1-1, and I seem to remember giving up and just equipping the scimitar, and just not using the Morian Blade at all, because, so the Morian Blade is something that you have in your offhand to increase damage. So basically, for those who don't understand what it's used for, it's basically red tearstone ring, but in weapon form. You lower your health to a certain amount, and then you're dealing more damage. But it's pretty nasty. Is there a blue tearstone ring equivalent in this game? Might actually be worth having both of those equipped, just to make life a little easier. But I'll get to that later. That's a build for another day. I'm going to need to get more used to Demon Souls again before actually proceeding with that. Alright, vitality, let's go. No! Dexterity. I think it's because I was hovering over vitality, so in my head I was like, okay, I've decided to do vitality, and then I engaged my brain, and then realized that was absolutely not what I had decided. Okay, so we're at 44 dexterity, 25 vitality, looking a lot better than it was before. It feels almost like that was from killing that boss. It really wasn't. It was all from what I did at the end of New Game. So, there we have it. We're now down to 42,000 souls, and I believe... Oh no, I'm not. I thought I had left myself here, and I was about to say, well, let's go and pop ourselves back in the corner. Fortunately, I hadn't done that. Alright, so I'm getting a bit hot in my jacket, I have to say. Wasn't expecting it to be such a warm day. I might take it off. Oh. I seem to remember that I had to disable my camera to take off my jacket in the past because my setup was so snug. And someone was making a big deal about it in the chat. It may have been Tal. Was it Tal? And he was like, I've never seen anyone have to turn off their camera to take off a jacket. It's like, well, yeah, because my setup was insane. I was like boxed in. Couldn't swing a dead cat. Anyway. Now. I do feel more comfortable now after that. Okay. So, obviously in this build, there is one aspect to this build that I completely neglected to mention, and that is my sticky longbow. Sticky compound longbow. This thing is scaling with dexterity more so than a standard bow. Basically, sticky, which I believe is affected by Spiderstone, is basically your sharp, or your bladestone equivalent, for bows. I don't know why they decided to have a separate thing for bows. It was a strange decision, but they did do that. So, there you have it. For now, I am going to keep the Ring of Avarice on. I don't really have any other rings. I really don't agree with the fact that I went into New Game Plus in this state, to be honest with you. I would have tried, or rather I should have tried, to get more colourless Demon Souls, and I also Do you think Stonefang Tunnel's neutral? The colourless demon might actually be visible in Stonefang Tunnel, or getting close to it. I think it's, when does the colourless demon appear? It's... Oh no, it's like 1 off pure black, isn't it? This shows you how long it's been since I've played. It's like maybe 2 levels off pure black, and then it stays for like the last 2 before pure black. I don't think colourless demons appear in pure black. I'm sure someone will remind me. Sticky white stuff. There is sticky white stuff in this game. It's not... there you go, sticky white stuff. Why did they do this? Why did they choose to do this? I don't know. Anyway. Wasn't there another really obvious sexual reference in this game? What was it again? The Penetrator. The Penetrator and sticky white stuff. There you go. Gotta love it. I mean, I balk at, you know, people claiming that names like Ceaseless Discharge are sexual in nature. I find that to be absurd. But the Penetrator? It's a little bit hard to ignore that. It's a bit hard to say, oh, well, you know, it can be used in a sexual context. No, that is absolutely explicitly sexual as far as I'm concerned. The Penetrator. I think it's a cool name, though. It's just hard to really shake off that sexual connotation. Sticky white stuff, however, is just unconscionable. I mean, is it technically possible that they did this without realizing? I don't think so. I don't think it is actually possible for them to have done this without realizing what it immediately brings to mind. But anyway. Getting back to what I was saying before, I was a little bit distracted by Peaberry writing sticky white stuff in the chat. Yeah, I don't know why I actually went into New Game Plus with this build, because I can take this to +5, presumably, at some point. I don't know what I actually... Like, pure Spiderstone, what... Where do I get that? I thought it appears... I think you're given it, aren't you? At a certain point. I don't know where. But pure Spiderstone, I think, is acquired without much difficulty, unless I'm completely remembering that wrong. I feel like I could have upgraded the blind a little further. I'm not going to fault myself for not getting pure Bladestone. That's miserable. That's a truly unpleasant enterprise. But as far as... There was something else as well. There was something else that yeah, I could have acquired the Eternal Warrior's Ring. Like, so many things that I could have done, which I just didn't do. So, I don't know what's wrong with me. Also, I've said this in the past many years ago, I will say it again. I'm not going to fight King Doran legitimately. It's just not going to happen. I'm happy to demonstrate it. I'm happy to show you what it's like. But I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to actually kill him legitimately. He's so strong. He's so stupidly strong. So I just cheese him every time. You may think less of me for it. But at this stage, I just don't care. You can like it or lump it, quite frankly. If you think less of me for it, then congratulations. I don't have time for it. Anyway, it's just, he's very unfair. I've had the reason why, I suppose I've been unhelpful in completely refusing to explain myself. Old King Doran is very difficult. He has very, very high health, and that really is the most difficult thing about him. It's the amount of health that he has. He does deal a shitload of damage, but you just don't get hit. That's the strategy. Don't take a hit and you will be fine. But the problem with him is that the fight goes on for so long that eventually he's going to kill you with some bullshit. Just some cheap shot. Now, what I have encountered and found myself taking exception to when it comes to that fight is his range. He's got a very unfair range with the weapon that he's using. I think he's using Demon Brand, isn't he? Is he using Demon Brand or Soul Brand? I can't remember. So, no, he's not using Demon Brand, he's using Soul Brand, because Demon Brand is in the pedestal, isn't it? You can draw Demon Brand from the pedestal and he'll just leave you alone. But, Actually, where is that key? Where do you get it again? You get it from Ostrava, don't you? You can kill Ostrava and get the key. Oh, I never talked to him, did I? Should I go back and talk to him, or is he going to be here? Has he... Oh, that's actually something I can check immediately. I will kill Ostrava for that damn key. I'm glad that I thought about that. These are things that just haven't recently crossed my mind. Fuck, I didn't talk to him, so... He has not been imprisoned. Is it too late? Can I go back and talk to him? I think so. Pray thee, fend off these dreglings! God damn it, I'm talking about getting the Eternal Warrior's Ring, and I'm not even going through the motions of acquiring the Mausoleum Key. There is no other way to get it. Basically, to access Old King Doran, if you recall, I explain these things because I imagine that some of you might not be familiar with Demon Souls, okay? I don't know if you are or not, but it's conversational for me to explain it, so just enjoy it. Or don't. But, yeah, Old King Doran is accessed from where we fought that Red Eye Knight in the first area, World 1-1. That door requires a key that only Ostrava of Boletaria has. You can kill him for it at any time. If you're willing to... I think he doesn't engage you. He maybe eventually engages you, saying that he has no choice. But for the most part, he will just take hits from you because he is non-aggressive. The practical reason why that's done is because he does actually join you in confrontations. His AI is terrible, because it's an older game, but he does actually join you in confrontations, and I suppose that they expect that you may accidentally hit him from time to time, so he doesn't become aggressive. But seriously, he will for the most part just stand there and take it. So you can get the Mausoleum Key, if you are so inclined, pretty much at any time. Alternatively, you can wait until, I believe, World 1-4, which is practically the end of the game, and just let him give you the key. But I almost never do that. Can't remember what... So you engage his Black Phantom version towards the end of 1-4. But I can't clearly recall at this stage when he gives you the key himself. I don't know why I went this way. Where the hell... Where am I going again? I should not have gone this way. This was a terrible fucking direction to go in. I actually took the wrong path. I should have gone up the other stairs. This was ridiculous. Apparently there was an auto mod that removed something that he said. Well. Apparently there was a 4-letter word that he used that Twitch doesn't like. Naughty, naughty. I felt like that was totally unnecessary for me to just wait for you to come and attack me there. Well, it's not that it was unnecessary, it was more like... It didn't achieve much. Do you know what? I have a much better idea. Let's use the Cling Ring. That's what we're going to use. So you can't get more than one Cling Ring per playthrough. I mean, I could use the Jade Hair Ornament, I could do all sorts of things, but do you know what? The Cling Ring sounds like a good way to do it. So, I'm going to drop... Well, not that I really have to, but I think just for the sake of keeping things neat. Stop it! Alright. We're going to use the Cling Ring to indicate what level of New Game we have reached. So the fact that we have 2 Cling Rings means we are at New Game Plus. And then obviously it goes to New Game Plus 2 after this. Some people, the reason why I say that is because some people might say New Game Plus Plus and then New Game Plus Plus Plus. Okay, if you say New Game Plus Plus, I will forgive you. If you say plus 3 times verbally, you need a smack. You really do. And I say that advisedly because I would presume that nobody fucking does that. I think it's safe to assume that that doesn't happen. Fuck, did I miss my opportunity to get the Mausoleum kit? No, I didn't. He's down there. Fucking hell. Alright. So what we'll do...
My thanks for your brave rescue.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for the brass telescope. That's probably another thing that you could use in order to indicate what level of new game you have reached. I'm going to kill him here. Oh, maybe I won't have to. Well, look, let's remove the distractions to start with. Please, you must stop. I thought we were allies. AJ has never reached New Game Plus, which I'm sorry to hear. Well, I'm not really sorry to hear it. But I'm sorry to see that he's typing it out that way, though. That does fill me with some regret. Okay, Mr. Ostrava, I apologize, but you're...
What on earth are you doing?
What on earth are you doing? Well, you've got a key that I want. And you see, I can't really request politely for you to give it to me. Okay, now he's just gonna die. I do feel for him. You know, an enemy that does not become aggressive at any time. Killing him doesn't really feel that nice, but... Anyway, look, seeing as though we're here, maybe I'll demonstrate old King Doran. Maybe I'll try to get the Eternal Warrior's Ring. Feels a bit weird to be using the Ring of Avarice, because, I don't know, I'm not really fighting enemies that drop much in the way of souls. So, well, I've got no choice but to proceed in this direction for now. So we'll do that. Feels slightly repetitive to be going through here again. But anyway. It's not really something I can avoid, because basically you cross the Rubicon when you jump that fucking wall. Oh no, I think I can go back this way, can't I? Yes, I can. I can go back this way. Alright, sorry, I'm being distracted by my chat again. Here I am thinking that I had reached an event horizon and I had to continue in that direction. No, I can actually get back to that wall by going this way, and I think there's a vendor down there. I never use that vendor. Let's just go and see him and see what he sells, because I never actually go to him. Ever, ever, ever. I've probably done it once in these 70 parts that I've done here. Hello? Maybe he only appears when you come the first time. Ah, do you know what? It would be the undead merchant who goes to World 1-2, so he's probably already travelled there. Ow. That's me being an idiot. More specifically, I'm being distracted by my chat again. Alright. Take that. One thing that does feel very strange is playing Demon's Souls with something that's not a PS3 controller. You know, I've spent 15 years playing Demon's Souls with a PS3 controller, and now I'm using something else. It's a strange sensation. I mean, it doesn't feel as strange now, but it did when I first came on emulating the game. That was one of the strangest parries ever recorded in human history. Alright. Oh, my friend. Come hither. Forming grass felt a little bit excessive there. Well, fine, we'll do it that way. You do obviously get your counter-attack damage when you successfully block an attack like that, but backstabbing tends to be a little bit more damaging. Here is the mausoleum. Let's open it up. I kind of like... You see, you could make it very slow and sort of labour the moment. Drag it out a little bit. But they go for more of a showy reveal of old King Doran.
Seeketh the king's sword. I am the old king. Show me thine strength and the strength of thine souls.
The strength of thine souls.
Prepare thyself, brave knight.
No. What? I didn't even draw the sword, man. What are you doing? I only have one Stone of Ephemeral Eyes. What are you playing at? Don't you think that was unfair? What the fuck? Now you see why I'm so wary of this fucking guy. That was terrible. That was actually... I nearly jumped out of my skin. Took me completely by surprise. I actually saw that my health had completely disappeared before I realized what was even going on. Before I had seen him do anything to me, I saw that my entire health bar turned yellow. Where did you come from? Look like you're having a grand old time. I only have one Stone of Ephemeral Eyes. Maybe I'll, on account of my distinct lack of Stones of Ephemeral Eyes, I will actually deal with Doran on another occasion. Probably when I can stand to fail, because I at least want to demonstrate the fight to you guys. It's a desperately scary fight, but it's worth seeing. Probably for that very reason. Now, I believe he can one-shot me. Even if I was in New Game, I think he would be able to one-shot me. But obviously, if he's going to backstab, without a doubt, he is going to successfully one-shot me. Boletarian Palace. Where does the colourless demon appear in that Archstone? It's a good question. Second Chance War, yeah. Oh, you're saying where? Second Chance where? I don't know. W-E-R. I can't really interpret that. I could use Second Chance because I do still have the Storm King's soul. But, may not. It sort of depends, because the thing with Second Chance is that you can be tempted to use it all the time. And it can trivialize the experience a little bit. Essentially, it's so effective that in most scenarios, I mean, unless you're stupid, like if you're really stupid, then maybe you would still die often with Second Chance, but it almost eliminates that risk of dying when you have Second Chance. It's still technically possible. If you have an absolute onslaught raining down upon you, then perhaps, but even the most beleaguered player, I think, would be able to pull themselves together with Second Chance going off. Because what it does is it doesn't just prevent you from dying, it will actually send you to half health instantly. I know why I don't have any stones. It's because I've used them all to intentionally drop the world tendencies to actually get colourless demon souls, because it looks like I did it for 3 archstones. If my blind is at +3... Oh, is that how it works? Do you start with a blind and then go blind +1? Is that how it works? Is there a way for me to see that? It feels like a really absurd thing for me to be uncertain about. That is how it works. So it goes standard, then +1. Okay. So that means, yes, indeed, I've done it 3 times. So the number of Stones of Ephemeral Eyes that you need to consume in order to intentionally drop the world tendencies of 3 Archstones, that's a lot. I probably used like 15, something like that, possibly even more. So that's why I actually don't have any right now. It's one of the downsides to colourless demon soul farming. Just the actual expenditure of Ephemeral Eye Stones is massive. Potato on a completely different note, asking for anime recommendations in the chat. I suppose, do you know what I should have done? I should have just... Sometimes I don't think things through, do I? What I should have done is just gone through World 1-2 and healed myself by killing the Tower Knight. I've lost my opportunity now. Yeah, too bad. Let's just go and fight the Tower Knight, shall we? There's the guy who just handed my ass to me on a player. Backstabbed me just most cruelly. Most cruelly. But yes, I will need to upgrade this blind further. I suspect that I should have actually seen how much more damage that I'm dealing with it now. because I did level up my dexterity a bit. It's 170. That is fucking woeful, isn't it? 170 damage in New Game Plus. Well, it has to be said that you are definitely utilizing the, I guess, the effect more than the effectiveness of the weapon. Just get over here. I think I can just make it. I'll do that next time. I won't wait for this guy. It's a very overly cautious way of approaching it. I think one of these drops is... There you go. See, I knew that that drop was a decent one. The rest of them are a bit shit, but that's the winged spear. If you're doing a dexterity build, highly recommended that you pick up that winged spear, actually. It'll make a big difference to your build, and will also make a big difference to going through World 2-1. Dexterity build with the winged spear in World 2-1, you will fucking decimate the enemies. Absolutely. You can actually kill this red dragon, believe it or not. You don't get much out of it. I wish you got more. But, yeah. Seem to recall probably 2010 or thereabouts, just sniping him with a bow. It took ages. Not the most pleasant experience. I'm going to get hit, actually. I'm an idiot. I'm really stupid. This is precisely why I take care. How stupid am I? You have to admit, that is just so dumb. I guess it's the carelessness that accompanies infrequent play. Getting killed by the fucking red dragon. What a flump. I say that in reference to myself. Alright, let's go, mate. Hurry up. If you're not going to come, I'll just go. Seriously. If I get killed again. It might happen. It might happen. Am I going to die? I died! Ha 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 ha! I'm dying to the red dragon in World 1-2. It's happening for real, ladies and gentlemen. I should have just gone. Instead of hanging around and then thinking that I might make it, and then going anyway. I should have just gone the first time. Anyway. Seeing as though I'm making a habit of it. And by it, I mean dying to the red dragon in World 1-2 in a most embarrassing fashion. Let's test that theory. Can I just go for it, you know? I'm not even going to pick that shit up. How many souls did I lose? I think it was about 45,000, something like that. Okay, if you just fucking do it, if you just run, then you'll be okay. I don't think you can make it for this one, though. For this one, you do have to wait, so I'm going to prompt him forward. And then I'll trail behind him. And because I'm distinctly pissed off by this experience, I am just going to run to the boss and drop the boss. As in, kill him. Okay. Whoa, not good. They're still alive. Also not helpful is the fact that my... God, full moon grass is really excessive when you're in soul form like this. I may as well get the cling ring out, hey? I'm not benefiting that immensely from the Ring of Avarice anyway. Well, it's not a very interesting judgment to make, Potato, because I very rarely die to that dragon, but... Because, essentially, if I don't die to that dragon, and then you judge my play based on that, you will actually very unhelpfully think I'm playing well, when I'm actually... I could actually possibly be playing like shit. Why? This is just that is so stupid. Maybe that is a good way to judge it after all. I don't know why I'm dying to this fucking dragon. This is actually absurd. This is fucking stupid. What a joke. I mean, you could see where I was standing. I knew where the danger zone was, but it just managed to get me. Just the edge of the fucking fire managed to get me. Fucking annoying. But as I say, or as I suggested, I don't think I said it explicitly, but I certainly implied it. When you haven't really been playing for a while, you become lazy, and the reason why is because I think I've explained this phenomenon before. If you have had long periods of time of playing a game where you've basically mastered it, and then you're like me and some time passes and you sort of lose a little bit of the skill, when you come back, you still play with the level of almost blasé laziness that you did before, but you no longer have the skill to back up that style of play, so you almost have to change the way that you play. Like, you've become used to playing in a certain way, but because you no longer have that base of effective ability from which to play the game, you basically just die stupid. Really? Well, as you can see, if you don't have the thief ring, you could be standing here and get fucking attacked by dogs. Good God. So these dogs came from down below. Fucking hell, there's so many of them. This is terrible. This is actually intolerably ridiculous. The fact that I'm fighting all of these dogs. All of them were made aggressive somehow. I can't even target you. What's going on with that? Fucking hell. Oh my God. The fact that you guys were still alive. That's alright. Get it together, Doomlink. Seriously, get a fucking grip. Just dying to stupid things now. You know, when the wheels fall off and everything just becomes infinitely worse. You know, if I hadn't died to that dragon the first time, I can assure you the Tower Knight would be fucking dead. Like, he would have died 5 minutes ago. But here I am, just dealing with absolute stupidity. I mean, how did those dogs even appear there? I seem to recall that it does occasionally happen, but why did you... I did survive. Go, 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 go. Fucking go, mate. Why are you immediately here now? No, that doesn't make sense. Why are you sometimes immediately there and then other times not? Why is that so inconsistent? Can we all agree that that's complete bullshit? Can we all agree? And you've just watched me repeatedly just run immediately. And then I make it. And then, for no particular reason, he's immediately at the bridge. Yeah, you did jinx it, Potato. Jesus. Worse still, I acknowledged what you said. Perhaps if I completely ignored your slightly ridiculous comment, I wouldn't be in this situation, but I didn't ignore it. Fucking hell. Hello. And goodbye. Whoa. Yeah, so about those frame drops. Yeah, this game can really choke. It's really, really poorly optimized, this game. Turns out it's not much better on emulator than it is. Well, it is measurably better on the emulator versus the hardware, but anyway. I'm slightly annoyed that I'm not one-shotting you guys anymore. Particularly the archers here, because you see they have less health, as I recall, as compared with the soldiers that don't have the crossbows, so... Yeah. I just have to actually buckle down and play properly now, because I've died way too many times. It's becoming ridiculous. Isn't there something quite good upstairs? A Stone of Ephemeral Eyes, that's what it is. God knows I need that now. Had to actually take a step back there to remain on target with that lizard. But yeah, as I say, you know, however you're used to playing, you can't really play in that way anymore if you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And I think I've done an excellent job of demonstrating that in this particular recording. This is what happens when you come back after ages. I think I mentioned before, you know, when it comes to me specifically, that's because maybe some people can retain their skills better when they haven't played something for years, but I can't. I apparently just lose it. But anyway. I'm sure I'd get it back pretty quick if I played daily, but that's not going to happen either. I don't remember that potato. Apparently the day the remake came out, I was streaming this, and someone thought it was the remake. No, I have absolutely no recollection of that. How did that play out? Did we trick him? Did we try to make him... Like, did we not correct him, in other words? That would have been quite funny. Yeah, because I have no recollection of how it played out, I can say that if it happened now, I'd play along. I'd try to trick the fucker. But maybe that's not how I did it at that time. That would have been a while ago. Oh yeah, I may have to lower the game volume again. Yeah, only just a touch. It's going to be loud, but it doesn't necessarily have to drown out my fucking voice like it would have done during the Phalanx confrontation. I don't know how loud that was, but that was getting into, like, almost the same volume as my voice territory. That's bad. We don't want that. Maybe some of you don't want to hear me, but, you know. No, you do want to hear me, otherwise you wouldn't be wasting your time watching this, but seriously. It's not ideal for me to be drowned out. Oh, apparently, that's extraordinary. Apparently the guy said, "Is this the remake? It looks exactly the same," and then he didn't say anything after that. Well, maybe his brain shut down after that. Because I don't think it would have been functioning very adequately anyway, so... Yeah. That's actually absurd, though. I can't actually speak on that. I can't say for... Oh, fucking hell, there goes that. Going to the Uchigatana, then. I do have some Ed's grindstones, but I'm not going to fuck around with those while I'm fighting the Tower Knight. The Uchigatana is still pretty strong. Just a little bit weaker than the Hillless, but at least it's not hurting me. Alright. Ooh, I'm actually overweight now. Which is interesting. I wonder if you can make the Tower Knight bleed. That would be interesting. Very annoyingly, I'm going to have to do that again. I do prefer to get the Tower Knight taken care of in one go, but that's not how it's going to be this time. Obviously you want to be aiming for one specific foot, doesn't really matter which one. I find this to be the safe one because it's further away from the shield. If you attack the one that's close to the shield, I think you often end up getting moved around by the shield as he moves physically. But, yeah, it's... Oh wow, I just killed the Tower Knight for the first time. Never done it before. I got a trophy. Obviously do need to actually increase my endurance even further. It's at 45, and with this equipment, I can't fast roll, so obviously my... that's probably why I've been using the Hillless as well. You can see it is only half a unit of weight difference, so there you have it. Which is encouraging. It means I don't actually have to increase my endurance by much more. But it definitely, I suppose, paints a picture of why it was necessary for me to take my endurance to that point. It's good for my stamina. I'm happy with that. I wonder if I can remember all of the ephemeral ice stone locations. So I remembered that one. I was prompted by some recollection in my mind. that there was something important, and then I remembered what it was. But I wonder if that's going to happen in all cases. Or if enough time has... Who was it that said that that guy looked like he was smelling his glove? I think that might have been Pavel, who said, he said it looked like the guy was smelling his glove. Because he said that, I can never unsee it. I'm sure most of you wouldn't be aware of that comment that was made, but now that I've drawn it to your attention, you won't be able to unsee it either. I don't know what he's doing. He's probably like... It's just some sort of pose, you know, but... Yeah. He's smelling his glove. That's official. I wonder if Pavel will actually... I don't know, I probably shouldn't call him Pavel. Pavel? I don't know. We call him Paul, but... Basically, he is an old viewer of Demon's Souls. Watching from pretty much... Yeah, from 2019. Or since then, at any rate. Let me go and repair my Hillis. May as well repair my other stuff while I'm here. As you can see, it's not too pricey to actually repair things in this game. Which is good. Okay, we're at 49,000 souls. Well, actually, it may be enough to seek soul power. No, it's not. I'm at 51,000 requirement now. I'm going to file away these souls in case I need them for any reason. It's acceptable to do it when you're in New Game Plus because obviously the higher your level of New Game, the less those souls are actually going to be helpful to you. Because those souls are never going to give you more, depending on what level of New Game you've reached. Whereas the enemies, on the other hand, are actually going to increase the number of souls that they drop each time. So, in other words, the efficacy, or the value of those souls actually decreases exponentially as you go up through the levels of New Game. We're at 51,314, is that enough? Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, is there anything that I can consume? That's alright. I'll go to here. I'll kill the crystal lizard and come back. How about that? That should be enough. Well, no, I think the Firelink Shrine is... I don't consider Firelink Shrine to be a depressing location. I do, however, find the Nexus to be sort of... it's a lonely place. I find the Nexus to be a lonely place. Oh, fuck off. It's alright, I probably don't need it anyway. So it turns out that I still don't have enough souls. I got almost nothing from that crystal lizard. I wasn't sure how many souls I was going to get. Turned out to be very little. Okay, colorless demon is not visible, but that's okay. Don't you love my elbow sticking out like that? Elbow combat. 3 hits for these guys with slashing. It's alright. Alright, I'm almost at the souls that I need to level up. It's not really essential that I do this. I'm still getting almost no souls. This is 18 souls per kill. Despite it being New Game Plus, this is quite miserable actually. It's almost enough for me to shed a tear. That's how inadequate that number of souls is. Probably sounded like I was about to fucking puke. I apologize. Well, actually, I've made it sound much more disgusting now that I've said that, but that's alright. We're now at 51,492. That should be enough. So I will double back. And I have to say, I am quite used to using Homeward Bones and things like that in the Dark Souls games, but getting Shards of Archstone is not as practical in this game. They're extremely expensive to purchase. You can purchase them infinitely, I think. From whom, I'm not too sure. Probably from Patches. Here's Glove Sniffer. Sadly, because the loading screens are so short here in the emulated version, you can't enjoy the man sniffing his glove for quite as long as you otherwise would. be able to, but yeah. So, Patches sells Shards of Archstone, but grinding them, as I recall, from the rats. And I think the best spot would be World 5-1 to grind them. I would describe it as unavailing. You do not often get Shards of Archstone. I mean, maybe it's worth it. Maybe your desire to be back in the Nexus immediately is worth spending like an hour grinding 10 Shards of Archstone. I don't know. Is that accurate? Would that be how many you'd get in an hour? You may actually get less. I'm not sure. I've never tried it. Well, I would have done. I would have at some point in the history of playing, in my history of playing this game, I would have indeed tried to grind Shards of Archstone, but something in the back of my mind is just poking me and saying, don't do it, it's not worth it. So, there you have it. I might trust my judgment on that one. Dexterity to 45, that was worthwhile. We now have 13 souls. It's almost rare to have so few, isn't it? Oh yeah, the evacuate miracle. Did forget about that. Thanks for reminding me. Maybe it's worth getting that for like any build, pretty much. What's my miracle memory? It's probably 0, isn't it? Is there anything that indicates miracle memory here? Well, my faith is 7, so I'm almost certain that I don't have miracle memory at all. Yeah, do you know what? Evacuate is probably worth getting on every build, to be honest with you. I don't know why I haven't been doing that. That's something I would have done long ago, but for this particular series, I haven't done it at all. So, yeah, 10 faith for some miracle memory? Okay. I'm going to do that. We're going to focus on that next. What an excellent recommendation. And again, I wouldn't even be playing this game right now at this time if it weren't for AJ anyway, so yeah, big thanks for your assistance in mentioning Evacuate, but also in, I guess, drawing my attention to Demon Souls in general by sharing the fact that you were emulating the game. It was getting about that time that I returned to this game. I was feeling it. But I'm not going to play it all the time. Just every now and again. What should I... Is there anything that I need to do before going through World 2-1? Not really. Let's go. Might actually see how much more damage I'm dealing with my bow versus my sword. Because I don't have any piercing weapons. That doesn't make sense, does it? This is a dexterity build and I don't have any spears. Should I get the scraping spear? Well, how about we, without thinking about that, I do actually have the lead demon soul. It's a good thing that I kept it. Do you see what I mean? Like, I actually had not considered getting the scraping spear before. But in that moment where I was tempted to use the lead demon soul, I decided, no, I'm not going to use it because you never know, it might be useful. And it is. Because I think I might make the scraping spear. Yeah, I am enjoying returning. It's been fun. I'm pleased by the experience of playing on an emulator. It's running smoothly. It's sadly not going to work at 60 FPS, but this is the sort of thing that you just put up with if you're not playing the remake. In my opinion, that's probably the most frustrating thing. It's not so much 2009 graphics that I would have a problem with, it's 2009 frame rates. That is one thing that I really can't brook at this stage. I mean, I'm fine. Once you adjust to it, it's fine, but it's a downgrade for certain. It really is a downgrade. But after about 20 minutes of playing, it does... Your eyes have to actually adjust to it, and once they have done, it's fine. You don't really notice it anymore that it's a low frame rate. Alright, we've not poisoned, sorry, we have caused him to start bleeding, but He's so close to death that there's no point waiting for that to kill him anyway. Oh, that's right. Remember when I said before I departed, I said aloud, is there anything I need to do before I depart? The reason why I said that might have actually sounded a little bit strange. Why is Doomlink asking that question? It's because I had a feeling in the back of my mind that I was missing something. Well, do you know what? Let's just use the Ring of Herculean Strength and proceed, because I don't think it's worth returning to the Nexus again. So let's not. Let's just use the Herculean Strength Ring and deal with it that way. Deal with the lacking item load by using that. I've got a chunk. Not too bad. Excuse you. I'm not even using a thief ring, and look, he doesn't even want to engage me. How strange is that? Oh no, I am using the thief ring. When did that happen? Was I always using the thief ring? Do you remember when the dogs attacked me in World 1-2? Did I have the thief ring on at that time? I must have, because I haven't equipped it. I didn't go from not using it to then using it at any point. I just sort of assumed that I didn't have it on because I was attacked by the dogs while standing there. If I had the thief ring on when I was attacked by those dogs, that is a completely novel experience. I've never had that before. If you're not using a thief ring, yeah, maybe without going down into the tunnel you might prompt the dogs to come after you, but with it on, that's extraordinary. I can't understate how insane that is. Because you have to go down several stairs to even get down there, and then you're not immediately fighting the dogs. You have to proceed a little further to actually get to them, and I never went down there. I was standing on the bridge, and the dogs, every single one of them, came after me. Like a fucking rat up a drain pipe, or a series of rats going up a drain pipe. It was fucking ridiculous. I'm really not enjoying my lack of piercing damage. How did I approach it originally? I probably had... Well, no, do you know what? An unupgraded winged spear may actually be more damaging. Or it might be roughly the same. Let's find out. Unupgraded winged spear. What have we got? No, I'm still fast rolling. That's good. Maybe I'll equip it instead of the blind. How about that? Alright, my friend. Alright, fine. I don't want to knock you down. I'd prefer to kill you here. Keep in mind that this guy does also perform Ignite. I believe it's called Ignite. It's basically your combustion pyromancy. But it's a spell in this game called Ignite, and if he does that, it hurts quite a lot. Apparently well, I have heard that the art was changed a little bit in the remake. I do think that's a shame, but in my opinion, it's more important that they keep the way the game played and felt to play. I can accept an update for the art, because I think that was probably the way in which they modernized it. That was the creative license that they chose to take. And as I say, that's much less damaging to the game than changing anything else. That's probably the least damaging thing for them to change. So I'm actually quite happy with that. Well, I say that without having actually seen it. I have deliberately not really looked at any gameplay of the remake, because quite frankly, I want to have a completely clean, blind experience when I finally do sit down to play that game. I don't know when it's going to happen. I have got no idea when I'm going to finally sit down and play that remake. It's incredible to think that, you know, I've been debarred because I don't want to spend money on a fucking PS5. But that is Sony's prerogative. They are in a position, given that it is their copyright, to just keep it exclusive. But I feel like they've now... Okay, here's what I don't understand. Why are they so allergic to money that they don't make a PC version? Think of how many people will buy it. Possibly less now than had they done it sooner. Like, if they did it in 2022 or 2023, they would have made probably more money initially then than now, because possibly interest has waned a little. But I feel like the money that they would have made by people, you know, coming over to PS5 to play that game has already been made. Surely. So it would practically be printing money to just release a PC version. But they don't do it. Why? Why do they not? I don't understand it. Well, of course, Peaberry, that's what I'm describing. I feel like the money has already been made. This is precisely what I'm saying. I mean, it is a system seller. That's why they make exclusive games, Peaberry, and that is what I'm addressing, but I don't think it's still a system seller. I don't think there's any benefit anymore to keeping it on that. I mean, someone's going to say, well, Doomlink, you were just talking about how you still haven't played. But my decision not to get a PS5 back then, well, I suppose it would change depending on the price, wouldn't it? It's not as expensive to get a PS5 now as compared to when they were in short supply and they were a brand new next-gen system. But still, like, I don't want to spend money on a PS5 because I don't do console gaming anymore. And someone's going to say, oh, Doomlink, there's so many... I know, I understand that you're going to try and help me to justify a purchase like that by saying that there are other exclusive games that I can enjoy playing, but I don't do that, okay? I'm not much of a video gamer. I know this might be strange to accept, but I'm not. The reason why you will see me play almost all of the same games is because how I do things, genuinely, is I find a very small number of series that are very, very replayable, and that's what I do. I just play those. I will occasionally play other games, but I just don't... Like, I'm not going to buy a fucking PS5, okay? It's not an acceptable purchase for me to make. It doesn't make sense for me to do. So, yeah, it could be said that I'm still a potential buyer of a PS5, and so there might be other people like me out there, and so it's still profitable for them to make it, or for it to remain a PS5 exclusive title, but seriously, I feel like you would be getting much higher returns on releasing a PC version at this point. Ow. I had a scratch on my arm that was healing, and I just scratched it. Again. Anyway. Okay, Peaberry says PS5 has like 3 games to play and it's been 4 years. Well, I don't know if that's accurate. I do know that Peaberry is going to get an Xbox soon, so I'm not surprised to see that he has an opinion like that. Whether it's true or not, I can't say. But that's his belief. So what I'm doing right now, if you're wondering why I'm returning, it's because I've unlocked a shortcut, I've unlocked Ed, and I would like to see if I can make the scraping spear. So what I'm going to do is get the lead demon soul, put it in my inventory, and see if I can just immediately take the winged spear to the scraping spear. I probably can't. I probably have to level it up first. +6 or +7 is likely what's required. Oh, okay, so apparently there are a lot of PS5 exclusive games that have since been moved to PC, which has reduced the value of getting a PS5. Okay, so I will have to... I don't have any... Well, that's good news. So I do think I need souls in my inventory, I think. But it seems upgrade materials, they'll just automatically take what's in your storage as well. which is good news. Because I definitely don't have any Bladestone on me. Do I? Let me just make sure that I'm not going absolutely insane. Okay, I'm not going absolutely insane, that's good news. Alright, let's upgrade our Winged Spear. I don't know how much we have to upgrade it, but I know for certain the Winged Spear can turn into the Scraping Spear. See how far we can go. Either way, it's something. Mercury Winged Spear, that's cool. I think that's adding poison damage, isn't it? It doesn't say. But I think that's what Mercury is, isn't it? Yes, I can see it. Special effects. Poison 120. Pretty cool. I don't see much value in poison weapons, but I'm happy to make some. What does it do to my scaling? Reduces it by... Well, actually, not by a huge amount. Definitely decreases the damage, though. That's cool. I haven't really bothered with poison weapons. The reality is that bleed weapons, I think, are a little bit better. And you can see how bleed is done in this game. It's a little different. So bleed is more like poison. You're actually losing health progressively. But, yeah, okay, I actually don't know if poison is better or worse than bleed. I think it's worse. But the thing is, I don't get much benefit out of bleed anyway. By the time I've actually inflicted bleed on an enemy, it's almost dead. So, like, where am I going to see the benefits of that? Maybe against certain bosses? I don't know. But, like, a poison weapon? I'm not sure. It's very situational, and I don't know if I would make use of it or not. But I'm not going to worry about it right now. Let's take the Winged Spear to +6. Possibly then I can make it. Moon Winged Spear. Okay, I can purchase some shards of Sharpstone, which is good. I think I needed 6 and I have 4. I hope I saw that correctly. Let me double check. I'm looking at the wrong thing. See that pure Bladestone that's required? I don't know when I'm going to get that. Yeah, AJ, that's what P. Berry was saying. He was mentioning those two games as an example of games that got PC ports. Okay. Also, I do need to get pure Spiderstone. I need to work out where I can get that. But pure Bladestone, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Not happening anytime soon, sadly. It doesn't mean I'm going to completely give up on it. But it does take some time. Okay, now hopefully when this goes to +7, I should be able to make the Scraping Spear. Okay, it's not coming up as an option now. Why would that be? Hopefully I haven't messed anything up. Let me open my web browser and figure this out. It will be my great privilege to return to the wiki.wiki for Demon Souls. It makes me sick to think that people would probably be using Fextra Life because of the remastered version these days. Absolutely detestable. Alright. What am I doing with myself? Scraping Spear. Now, the search function doesn't work on this website, I have to tell you. And it never was very good. Wikidot has never been the best for search function. I think it just does a Google search within the website, but it doesn't work anymore. It's actually a broken function. Spears. / poles. Scraping Spear. Now I am very confused, because I remembered it correctly. It requires a Winged Spear +7. Oh, unless... No, I'm not being stupid. It's not that I'm upgrading into +7. I have a Winged Spear +7, so... Idiot, I need the Red Hot Demon Soul. Okay. I'm glad I didn't over-upgrade it, but I think you can still do it if you've gone beyond +7. But no, I do need the Red Hot Demon Soul. That I had completely forgotten. My memory finally kicked in, and I realised no, Ed can't actually forge those immediately. So I will have to wait until I reach... I don't think I ever ended up... Well, I'm definitely using the Winged Spear now. Definitely using it now that I've upgraded it. It's stronger than the Blind, so... Let's see how good it is. Oh, it's not amazing, but... I can go two-handed with it, maybe. That's pretty funny. I love how he hops into the air like that. That looks slightly ridiculous. What's considerably more ridiculous is that I let myself die by testing that out. Just goes to show that, you know, I'm still playing Demon Souls. I'm not playing some other fucking game. I'm playing a game where if you start fucking around stupidly, you will be killed. So, there you go. Look at this attack. I'm sorry. This looks absolutely ridiculous. This is not like the jump that you get with straight swords. You know, the R2 where you do like a jump and you lift your sword and thrust it. No, this is a bit of a... It's very effeminate, which is appropriate for this particular character, but I don't know. I think they could have done a better animation than that. It looks a bit too soft, a bit too gentle. It doesn't seem combative, if you understand what I mean. That's a fun way to, to leave the... I'm going to do that again. Sorry, this is quite ridiculous, I realise, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to leave this by doing that attack. Oh, the things that entertain us. But seriously, that's grade A, what I just did there. Grade A. Holy fuck. But yeah, the Winged Spear is still not really strong enough for me to be that effective with it one-handed, so going two-handed definitely helps. And we're going back to the... Oh, I can't really go back to the Cling Ring, can I? I can, but I'm entirely reliant upon you, little dick. I'm entirely reliant upon the Ring of Herculean strength right now. Quite ridiculous that I didn't put my stuff away when I went back to the Nexus to get the lead Demon Soul, but I did completely forget that I needed to do that. So, I do need to be forgiven somewhat. I'm just going to move on. Where the hell is Pure Spiderstone? I haven't... It's not like I'm actively looking for it. I'm just a bit struck by the fact that I did not fully upgrade my bow before going into New Game Plus. Maybe I totally forgot to do it. In fact, I have been forgetting about the existence of my bow. I did say before that it probably deals a lot of damage. It's okay. Oh, it's so close to two-shotting them, isn't it? So tantalizingly close. If it's going to take 3, then I'll just keep using the Winged Spear. If it took 2, I would have actually mained it, but I won't be doing that. Alright, down we go. The steel shield is back there, but I'm not really interested in it. I do have the Thief Ring unequipped now, so it's going to make things a little more dangerous. Now, using a spear for this is entirely recommended. I realised that I equipped it so that I could kill those trolls, but still very useful against these enemies. These lizards are not to be trifled with. It's because of those fucking jumping attacks that they do. Oh god, I've got dogs coming after me. I will pull my shield out for this one. Let there be no doubt. If I must, I will poke you to death. Ugh. best way to deal with a dog, especially when it's in a little... Has to be a better... I was going to say alley. It's not an alley, it's a walkway. But, you know, in a narrow space. Some Ed's grindstones, quite useful. Can I buy them from Baldwin? I don't remember if he sells them or not. I don't think he does. But I'm sure they can be purchased from somewhere. Obviously, it is your repair powder equivalent. I like the idea of having a grindstone rather than powder. Powder is just a bit abstract. It's like, okay, well, cool, magical powder. What's that about? Whereas a grindstone, yeah, cool. It's actually a thing that obviously is going to sharpen a weapon. I suppose, no, to be fair, it's not about weapon sharpening, is it? It's about durability, so... Would a grindstone be used to repair something? I don't know. I don't understand the process that goes into these things, so... Maybe grindstone doesn't make much sense after all. I still prefer it to powder, though. What are you doing, man? He was just completely distracted by something. I was thrusting into him with unrelenting abandon. And he was just like, huh? What's going on? Quite fine weather today. That's exactly what he was saying. Or at least internally, that's what he was saying. Got some more dragonstone in there. That's something that I also never use. Like, I never make mercury weapons. I never make dragon weapons. I need to start doing that. I definitely need to start doing that. I also never use sucker stone. What's that for again? I know what it's for. I just need to remember what the upgrade's called. It's interesting. It's not coming to mind. But basically, you would use it for thrusting weapons. It increases your critical damage, I believe. It's something that you would put on a rapier. But, at this stage, I can't really remember what it's called. But yeah, you use sucker stone for it. I think you get it from phosphorescent slugs, is that right? I think so. Tearing. And it also has a... I mean, you say tearing, but whatever it was called in the Asian version is what is more familiar to me. But it's called something different there. Can't remember now. But that's alright. No! Fuck you. I feel really foolish that I actually went into New Game Plus with this build. The fact that I don't even have a thrusting weapon. I'm sure I had one, as I say, but I never would have upgraded it. Like, Dexterity build, and I'm not making thrusting weapons. Like, what the fuck? What's wrong with me? I forgot to do my jump. I should actually check to see how the scraping spear actually... Yeah, it does scale at an A level. I don't know if it increases at all. They haven't detailed the upgrades for it, which is weird. They just show how it is unupgraded. I have little doubt that it upgrades. Oh, the main problem is I'm sure it upgrades with colorless demon souls. Oh, it doesn't upgrade at all! This weapon cannot be upgraded. Well, I probably shouldn't be doing that then. Listen. So, just to be clear, it deals 100 damage, and it has an A scaling. So, it's going to be something like the blind, in terms of the damage that it deals, so I probably don't want to be making that. But I suppose I could. How about thrusting swords? Like, I don't know, the S-Stock. Isn't the S-Stock in this game? I'm quite sure it is. I almost never use it, but I'm actually liking the idea of using the S-Stock more than making a spear. I could make a sharp S-Stock, perhaps. And that can be my thrusting weapon for this game. I remember where to get the S-Stock. So, okay, sharp gets us to an S. See, this is much better. So, S-Dock, S scaling with 120 damage. Compare that to an A scaling with 100 damage. Fuck that. I'm not really going to benefit from the equipment degradation ability of the Scraping Spear. I'll probably still make it. But, yeah. I think we're going to make... well, we're definitely going to make the... although, I'm not going to get my S scaling unless I use pure Bladestone. Terrible. Okay, so it's actually going to be an A scaling at 112 damage, which is not great. That's alright. It's not the end of the world. I will get the S stock, fear not. I'm going to run through this area, by the way. I've fucking had enough. I've had enough of all of you. I certainly have. Alright. You're probably right to say that the boss weapons can't be upgraded. It's one of those little details that has slipped my mind over time. But yeah, you're probably right. Boss weapons. No, I think you're wrong, AJ. I think the penetrating sword can be upgraded. Although, does that use the Silver Demon Soul? Maybe you can get it without, actually. Yeah, you can get it without using the Silver Demon Soul, can't you? It actually drops from the Black Phantom, so I suppose that doesn't count, does it? That doesn't quite count. So perhaps anything that would use a Demon Soul in order to make it is actually not upgradable. See, I thought I got you there with the penetrating sword, but I'm quite sure that's a drop. Any other examples I can think of? Lava Bow? Which, I think that's the Dragon Demon Soul, isn't it? To make the Lava Bow. That is upgradable, I think. No, I don't think it is, now that I think about it. Strange. The epiphanies that you experience when returning to a game. At this stage, I will just trust what you say, in that boss weapons cannot be upgraded. Yeah, I don't think the Lava Bow does upgrade, now that I think about it. Oh well. Just a weird thing to forget, I suppose. As for what you would use to upgrade them, I just would have assumed colorless Demon Souls, but I guess it's only for special weapons that you get in the field. Obviously, some weapons that you may think are boss weapons are actually just special weapons that you get from Black Phantoms, for example. Oh, fuck off. Like, I don't know, the phosphorescent pole, Meralda's axe, for example, as well. I actually have a light strength build that uses... not a good idea. I use that axe in my light strength build. Why am I going this way? I'm going the fucking long-ass way that I don't need to go. Sorry, I'm habitually going in that direction because that's how I usually approach it, but no, I've already removed the lava, so I'm going in a direction that was just completely unnecessary. I apologize to myself, and I apologize chiefly to my audience for wasting your time. So I guess any weapon that becomes modified into something completely different would be unupgradable, which makes sense. This fucking prick. The only reason why I don't have the hiltless is because I'm too heavy with the hiltless. And obviously the Uchigatana is heavier than the hiltless, so that's not going to be a solution either. Take that, guy. There is a Stone of Ephemeral Eyes here. Again, I asked myself whether or not I would remember all of the locations, and so far I think I'm doing okay. Although if I completely forget a location, I'm not going to know that I've forgotten. Will I? Because if you forget, You don't know. But I seem to be remembering, which is reassuring. I was just a little bit worried about whether or not I'd have to refresh my memory on that, but it seems like I remember that. I'm surprised by some of the things that I can remember, like, I don't know, the Penetrator giving the Silver Demon Soul, for example. Things like that. Sucker Stone. Although I can't remember the... Well, apparently it's tearing. Yeah, I remember a lot of things. I remember most things, I think. But some things have since slipped my mind. There's a chunk of Spider Stone. Like, for example, I've got no idea where pure Spider Stone is. I seem to remember just getting it randomly from somewhere. Come to think of it... Why, I'd best heal myself shortly. No! Sorry, that was just... I really need the purple flame shield, don't I? Have I got it? I just feel like that is dealing way too much damage to me. It may not be necessary. I just realized that before actually going into that fight, I should have equipped the Hiltless. I'm going to run through the enemies because I've fucking had enough of my absolutely pitiful performance in this game. Absolutely pitiful fucking performance. So, yeah, what I think I'm going to do is not worry about getting the purple flame shield or anything like that, because quite frankly, I can just roll through everything. Let's just do that. But definitely being shield reliant in that fight, not good with a Knight Shield, as you can tell. If you were lucky enough to get the Knight Shield before getting to World 2-1 in New Game, it probably would be sufficient. But here in New Game Plus, no. Not a good idea. Not worth using. I bet that lingers. So in case it does, I'm keeping the hell away from that. I do still have a date with Doran, don't I? I don't know when I'm going to go and get his ring. But quite frankly, if I keep playing like this, it's going to be necessary for me to keep the cling ring on, isn't it? Very unfortunate. But that's alright. I suppose it's to be expected that if I haven't played Demon's Souls in so long, and, I mean, it really has effectively been more than 3 years. I did a recording in December of 2022, but that was a one-off. And I don't even really remember doing it, to be honest with you. So, for all intents and purposes, it's been more than 3 years since I last sat down and played this game. And to do it in New Game Plus is going to be slightly more challenging, so I should, you know, at least give myself the caveat that whilst my performance is terrible, there is a decent reason why. Pick that up and roll. You can actually just bypass these things for the most part. Come on. That's one of the annoying parts of this fight. The fact that rolling through that attack will send you flying. Not every time, but it can do. You can see I don't have much margin for error. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. As you can see, with my current health, and how much damage this thing's doing to me, I can only really take about 2 hits, which is workable. You can see it's not a very difficult fight, but fucking hell. It is a little bit annoying. To be clear, this is not a very good armor set in terms of defense. I just, you know, the thing with the Souls games is that I don't use armor for defense because, you know, in the days when I would make PvP builds, yes, like, the amount of defense that I could get for a certain amount of weight and, like, my resistances, these were all things that can be the difference between winning a PvP confrontation and losing one. So I used to be quite detailed in how I would build. my armor sets for PvP. But I actually made a decision in 2013 to never bother doing PvP ever again. To never bother, and that was in the first Dark Souls, obviously. Now, I'll probably do PvP in this game. I'm not going to return to Dark Souls to do PvP or anything like that, but it would be cool to do a bit of PvP here in Demon Souls, just for old time's sake. I was mentioning it on my Discord, but I, many years ago, was actually in a Skype group that did PvP. Back before the first Dark Souls came out, so yeah, I have dabbled with it in this game, but definitely I cut my teeth as a PvPer in Dark Souls. That was when I got very in-depth into it. That's when I was making, you know, so many builds. That was when I was doing so many playthroughs to make new PvP builds that I just became increasingly better and better at the game. But, yeah, I realized that I fundamentally don't enjoy PvP. I hated dishonorable conduct in PvP. I really hated it. And then I sort of sat back and realized, well, it's a strange thing to get so annoyed about. So maybe you should just stop doing PvP in general. Except for when it's obviously necessitated by an invasion. What a pathetic attempt at a roll. This is not good. This is bad news. So that should burn it off, right? No, it didn't. It didn't fucking burn it off. Heal, quick. Do it. Okay. Going to heal myself, and then hopefully we'll kill this fucking spider. I'll just do better rolling, okay? That really is the solution here. Probably shouldn't have done the second one. Annihilated my stamina. But yeah, I just realized that doing PvP was not enjoyable. It was simply unpleasant. And so, what am I doing? I genuinely thought that it was going to be over. See, now, I don't actually have an acceptable reason for having died there. I was just stupidly edging myself towards the fire, expecting it to dissipate, and it didn't. It fucking killed me. So what am I doing? Again, it's what I was saying before, where I probably would have known the timing at one point. But I don't anymore, so I need to not play like that. You have a habit of playing a certain way, but if you haven't been playing recently, you don't have the abilities to back up that style of play. You instead just end up making fucking stupid mistakes. Things that, you know, I suppose when you're really familiar with the game that you're playing, you can play fast and loose and, you know, do risky things. It's risk-taking behavior. You essentially begin a Souls game in terms of learning how to play it by being cautious, by not taking risks. Okay. I'll ignore that. But yeah, you get used to not taking risks. That's how you survive, and then you slowly but surely learn what you can and can't do. So then as you progressively get better and better at the game, you will take more risks, and you won't suffer repercussions for it because you've developed a skill. You've developed a knowledge of what you can and can't get away with. But if you've taken yourself away from the game for a number of years, and then you come back, and you're in the habit of playing in that way, like, it's not just that you're in the habit of playing that way, it's more fun to play that way. It's actually more fun to be less cautious when playing a Souls game, and it's particularly satisfying to be less cautious and yet still be effective. To be less cautious and get through areas nice and quickly. But if you're like me, and you've sort of lost that skill, you're just going to die, like an idiot, like you would as if you were brand new to the game. So what we're seeing here, really, from me, is just carelessness on a fucking industrial scale. And it is frustrating me a little bit, but I'm sort of hoping that I'll get through it. I guess would be the point. I did actually do a little bit of Dark Souls 3 PvP, not much. I can't remember the name of the area. It's the one where you've got the Silver Knight Greatbow guys in Dark Souls 3. That was a good invasion area. That's the only one. That's literally it, I think. As for Dark Souls 2, I did a little bit of invading in the Dragon area at one time. Not much. I had a fun dual poison dagger build, I think. But seriously, I only dabbled slightly in it. So technically when I said I'd never do PvP again in 2013, that obviously didn't happen. I did do a little bit of PvP after that, but not much. Like, I just was not focused on doing PvP. It just sort of happened as a consequence of being fascinated to see what it would be like in the other games. But it certainly was not something I intended to do regularly. And I did just stop doing it because, as I say, I think I fundamentally just don't enjoy it. Because, you know, I would... And this is an important point, what I'm about to say. I would encounter gankers in the forest and actually hate them. Like, I thought they were complete wastes of space. I thought, you know, the kind of person who will intentionally have people... Let me tell you that I obviously distinguish between... I can actually feel myself getting a little bit worked up, even as I say this. It's been 10 years and I'm getting worked up over it. The kind of person who is intentionally doing it, not trying to survive the area, it's an entirely different proposition. For a person to summon phantoms to take down an invader, if they're just trying to get through the area, I understand that. But I'm talking people. They would... What are you doing, Grimlock? Why are you rolling like that when that spider is doing that attack? You know not to do that. You know to stand still. You've been doing it up until this point, so why did you do that? Why did you roll like that? What is wrong with you? Pay attention. You're not even drinking today. You don't have an excuse. Not that I do that. I never excuse bad play by saying that I've been drinking, but for fuck's sake, man. Just wake up. Open your fucking eyes and play the game. Alright, so what I'm trying to say in relation to ganking in the old PvP days of Dark Souls was that I actually detested the people who would go into the forest, summon 2 phantoms, and then have all 3 of them gang up on one invader. I used to think that was just truly pathetic behaviour, and it got me quite riled up. Now, I developed a skill in PvP whereby I'd kill all 3 of them fairly consistently. But the fact that I actually hated them so much, the fact that they actually filled me with rage, I looked at that and I said to myself, well, if that's something that bothers you, maybe PvP's not for you. Maybe this is something that you should just keep away from. And so I did that. So it reminds me of when I had stopped playing first-person shooter games, because when I played them, I was an angrier person, in general. They made me angry, first-person shooter games, a lot. But this is going back to, like, early 2010s. When I was playing them a lot, I was angrier, realized that I was angrier, and so I just stopped playing them. Similar thing. Sometimes you're just not suited to certain hobbies. You know, if a hobby or something that you supposedly do for enjoyment actually can frustrate you quite a lot, then maybe it's not for you. And look who's here. Pavel has arrived. I'm glad that you're here. This is the dull gold set. Yeah, AJ, that's possible. I might be playing badly because I'm not drinking. It is possible. I will actually go and get some sherry, but I don't know, I haven't really felt like getting it. But yeah, this is the dull gold set. It's Sell in Vinland set. How the fuck? What am I doing? Thank God I survived that, right? It's not like I fluked it, I was paying attention. That was bad. Let's kill this fucking spider, we can do it. Come on. But yeah, I do need some sherry. I've got some nice sherry. I've got the bottle to my left, but I'm not going to drink directly from the bottle. I'm not an animal. But yeah, I have returned to Demon Souls. This is the emulated version, what you're seeing here. Same save files, but I now don't have the setup process associated with PS3. I think it's going to look considerably better as well. It's sadly not 60 FPS because that's just not going to work, but yeah, it's an improvement, I would say. For better or for worse, and well, I'd say it's somewhat relevant to you, but not as much as it is to me. It is more comfortable for me to play and record the emulated version, so yeah. I'm definitely going to be recording more frequently than I otherwise would be, as a result of that. Giant spider in Dark Souls 2? Which one's that? I can't think of a giant spider in Dark Souls 2, off the top of my head. Am I going crazy? There's a... Oh, the Duke's Dear Freya. I remember that. It's not too difficult, though. What makes that fight hard, I have to admit, would be the small spiders that you have to fight. Those small spiders are frustrating, but the... yeah, the boss itself is not too bad. I think part of the reason why is because I would have to asceticize the bonfire and actually go and fight at New Game Plus level to get the Moonlight Greatsword. Hey, what the fuck are you doing, man? Look, that's where you get it! Pure spider stone, what the fuck? So it mustn't have been a lack of pure spider stone that prevented me from getting the bow. It must have been all the other spider stone. I do vaguely remember trying to grind it, yeah. I vaguely remember trying to grind it. Maybe I'd made the decision that it would just be easier to get the free pickups when I went into New Game Plus. Maybe that's why I did it. It's interesting coming back to a build that you did so long ago, and then trying to work out the logic behind things that you did. But I think that's why I would have done it. It would have been to save myself the grinding for the other stuff. It was probably chunks that I was grinding. I've got some now. Maybe I'll try upgrading. Let's go and speak to Ed. But I'll go and get a glass. I need some sherry after that. What the fuck? Give me a sec. I'm back. Yeah, I agree. It would be nice if this game had a native PC release, whether it be this version or the remaster. I know that you don't like the remaster. I remember you tried it, Paul. But yeah, I sort of go back and forth between calling him Pavel and Paul, but I guess Paul's easier. But yeah, it is a shame, but emulating it is also quite good. Emulating it here does still feel like I'm playing it on PC, almost. I would like to play it at 60 FPS though, that would be preferable to 30. Depends on the kind of wine, Paul. So sherry is one of my favourite kind of wines. I like fortified wines, so like spiced fortifieds, port, sherry, not really muscat, that can be a bit too sweet. I mean, port doesn't have to be sweet necessarily either, but maybe you can get dry muscat. I guess if you can get dry, then it's okay. But yeah, just strong wines, I like them. more standard wines, like a standard white wine and a standard red wine, like a, I don't know, Cabernet and Cabernet Sauvignon. Things like, what am I doing? I'm going the wrong way. I've had so many attempts at that boss that I'm used to going in that direction. Yeah, not really a fan of some wines. Like, I'll drink them, I'm not snobbish about it, but in terms of preference, it would probably be wrong for me to say that I prefer wine to other types of alcohol. I prefer spirits. Spirits are my favourite. But I do get bored of spirits as well. If I drink only spirits for a week, I'll want to get a beer, you know? Because there's a satisfaction that you get from beer that you can't get from spirits, and vice versa. Alright, so we need some shards of Spiderstone. I don't know where I'm going to get those. I can see that we probably didn't have those chunks until we came here. But how do you suppose I get shards of Spiderstone? And why do I have none? Why is it that after... Do you know what? There's probably some shards in the boss room, unless... No, I did pick those up, didn't I? That doesn't seem quite right. I swear that I've been picking up more than that. That's a bit strange, don't you think? Well, alright, let's go back to the boss room, shall we? Because that's a little bit unusual. A little bit unusual. For me to have not managed to pick up even a single shard during my trip through Stonefang Tunnel there. So let's look around the boss room. I'm sure there's some here. Unless I didn't pick up anything. It looks like I did, sorry, unless I did pick up that stuff. I did pick it up. So there's Spiderstone in here. Spiderstone over that way, which I got before fighting the boss. And none of it's been a shard. I almost have to review the footage to see what the hell I've been picking up, because... Could it have only been chunks? Let's have a look at where I get Spiderstone. I'm sure I can purchase it, or rather... No, I'm not sure. I'm hoping that I can purchase it. Where is it? Is it under consumables? Surely not. I'm just looking at the wiki at the moment. Sorry, my throat's being a bit weird. Alright, let's just go to bows. Compound longbow, and then let's look at... Okay, Spiderstone, here we go. Okay, so they drop from the trolls, as I call them. They're actually called scale miners, I do remember that now. Crystal lizard. Let's go kill that crystal lizard. So, I don't think the one that you immediately confront in World 2.1 will give you Spiderstone, but I do know that the one that's much deeper in, that one, will give you Spiderstone. I had forgotten about that. I just needed to jog my memory there, because I had forgotten. Alright. Let's go back to World 2.1. I'm just doing this so that I can finally upgrade this frickin' bow to the max. Because apparently it was too challenging for my past self to do it in... Well, I'm not going to say too challenging, but I decided not to do it when I was going through new games, so... Let me get it done here, shall we? Let me actually get it done as soon as possible, so then I don't have to worry about it anymore. Because I don't have any reason to make more than one bow. Not in this game. Obviously you do have things like the lava bow, but this is a dex build. I don't suspect that I would want to use something like that with this build. that might fascinate some people. The way that I proscribe some weapons from a build just because I'd rather focus on other things that are more directly affected by the stat that I'm upgrading. In this case, Dexterity. I've gone the wrong ass way. You are so annoying with your ranged shit. Alright, now I know where I'm going. As I say, it's been a little while, so I need to get my bearings. I don't have a spear on me, so it doesn't exactly prevent me from killing these guys, but I really should be parrying you. Let me try parrying. As you can see, if I attack immediately, it looks very awkward. Because of that big knockback, it makes me want to... these guys drop it too, by the way. It makes me want to actually move forwards to do the riposte, because of that big knockback. But, can I riposte your fist? Yes, I can. Well, I suppose it makes sense that I can. I'm being pursued by this fucker. And obviously, case in point, I just picked up a shard. So these guys are definitely the ones I want to be fighting. Why are you looking around as if you're lost? Why am I completely missing my timing? It's a good question as well. 1,030 damage for the riposte. That's quite good. Your weapon actually bounces around in your hand when you go for the thrust with the riposte. It looks ridiculous. Watch my sword when I do this. Oh. Do you see it? When my character begins the riposte animation, you can actually see my weapon, like, bouncing in my hand. It's not just this weapon, it's any weapon. It's just a good example. It almost looks like ragdolling, you know? It's just another example of how this game hasn't aged well in certain aspects. For the most part, I do want to stress this, I don't want this to be interpreted as some kind of unfair criticism of the game. Absolutely not. In some respects, yes, it has aged poorly, but for the most part, this game has aged remarkably well. Like, really, really well. I thought it looked amazing when it came out, and I still think it looks great. The last thing I want is for someone to mistake what I'm saying to be some kind of criticism. It's not. It would be unfair as legitimate critique, but... Oh, come on. No. Oh, we got... Okay. That's shit. Do you know why? It's because I've now lost one of my opportunities there. I'd forgotten about the rocks that they toss at you. I knew that they were enemies, but I didn't know... well, I'm dropping down the world tendency here. I suppose it's a good thing for the colourless demon, but... Fucking hell. Very frustrating that I've died there. You have to be that aggressive to kill the lizard, but I suppose you also have to strike a balance between being aggressive and not fucking dying. Whoa. Cheap viewers on that link that looks like someone sat on their keyboard. I just love that it says cheap viewers, as if it's just an unavoidable reality that you're going to pay for them, you know? Like, that's it. You're paying for them, but they're cheap. No. You just have to love the premise. Whoa. I feel like my game just went wonky. Did you see that? Did it look like my game went wonky to you? The word ow comes to mind. Although you're supposed to say ow as an involuntary reaction to something happening. You're not supposed to consider what words to use before saying ow. But anyway. Yeah, getting these backstabs off is a little bit more consistent, as you can see, as compared with riposting, and also takes less time. Over and done with before you know it. Now, I'm going to do that again. I know it may seem like I don't... Oh my god, I've lost it. It's gone. It's fucking gone. So now, my only recourse, incredibly, is to kill the scale miners that are unarmed. That is the only thing that I can do. So, what I might do... I can't believe I'm in this position. This is so stupid. And it's not like I would have gotten all the shards that I needed, but it would have fucking helped. Had I been able to actually collect the... Ooh, I don't have the patience for this. Don't have the patience. I'm on the unfavourable side of the stairs. Fuck off. Alright. So, let's go back to the start. I think there are some unarmed scale miners over there. There's one here. Oh no, he's just carrying a bag, never mind. I mean, I can get his stuff as well, why not? Which reminds me, I do need to put my stuff away so that I'm not relying on the Ring of Herculean Strength. I feel bad that I'm going to spend a little bit of time working on my faith to get the Evacuate miracle, because obviously the fact that I needed the Ring of Herculean Strength means that not just in terms of my health should I be upgrading my vitality, but in fact my item burden is becoming a little insufficient as well. I'm going to go back and just put my stuff away while I'm thinking of it, because I've now forgotten to do that several times. Just to clarify, I've only got 31,000 souls. That's the reason why I didn't level up after killing the boss. Could you imagine if I actually could have leveled up and then lost some souls due to dying stupidly? That would be infuriating. And I do not hesitate to say that. I would be completely enraged if that would happen. Alright, Thief Ring and Cling Ring, I think. Yes, indeed. I can't believe that... This might sound incredible, but the entire reason why I didn't grind Spiderstone in New Game was because I would just get some automatically here in this version of the game. But guess what? I lost my opportunity to do that. If a crystal lizard flees from you and disappears, that actually counts as a lost opportunity in this game. It's terrible, it's uncompromising, and it's unfair. But it's the way this game works. So, not just the time I killed it and then didn't pick up its materials, but also every occasion, and there were possibly 2 of them, where I scared it off and it disappeared. Those were also lost opportunities to get Spiderstone. So I completely fluffed my chance to get my free Spiderstone. So for the entire reason that I didn't upgrade that bow, I've now just ended up in the same situation, where I'm grinding it stupidly. And I didn't get any there, so do you know what? I'm not going to bother. I don't care if it's interpreted as foolish or what. I really couldn't give a fuck. I am, however, getting... Because my world tendency is where it is, I'm actually going to drop it down to get a colorless Demon Soul. The reason why is because I've got 2 more bosses to kill. And if I kill both of them, it's going to be much more costly to lower the world tendency here after that. So I will lower the world tendency intentionally a few times. It's actually faster to go from the top to get here. Do you think this is going to be enough to get to the world tendency that I require? I don't know. Alright, get over here. I do not want to forget that soul. Alright, let's... See, one thing that I don't remember is whether or not the environment... No, it doesn't. Your environment is not going to update in accordance with your world tendency having dropped until you leave and come back. That's actually one example of the game being nice to you. If you don't leave the area, you're not going to experience the negative consequences of having died while alive. I will sacrifice, if necessary, I will sacrifice my last stone of ephemeral eyes in order to get this to an appropriate level to get the colourless demon to appear. He hasn't appeared yet, he's very visible. This is my favourite location for the colourless demons because he is right by an archstone and he is visible as soon as you come. Oh, I'm going from the bottom again. AJ, I'm not going to do it that way. So, what AJ is describing, I mean, is it... Hold on. So, just to be clear, AJ, what is the process when connecting to the servers to control the world tendency? Can you explain that to me? Because it's not familiar to me. It doesn't sound like something that could have been done natively in the game. But maybe it is. Maybe I'm remembering wrong. Or I forgot how to do it by connecting. So, because apparently the way I'm doing it is not the only way that you can do it. But I'm keeping with this procedure for now. There it is. Very visible. And now that it's there, I will go and acquire a colourless demon soul. I'm not going to be able to upgrade the blind, I don't think, because I'm quite sure that it's going to need a colourless demon soul. Sorry. I'm quite sure that it's going to need the red hot demon soul in order for Ed to be able to make use of it. So you can leave messages to change it. Really? To make it higher, though? Surely. That wouldn't lower your world tendency. So apparently leaving messages can increase your world tendency. Which I didn't know, or had forgotten. So... that is an exploit, isn't it? That's not a native feature of the game, AJ. I just want to establish that. Is that an exploit, or is that actually a system in the game that I didn't know about? It's a custom code. I thought so. I was treading carefully just in case I'd completely forgotten something, but reading what he's written there... Alright, see you, Paul. Because of how you've actually written it, you literally can just get pure black and then pure white based on the messages that you've sent. So... I'm not going to do it that way. It's an exploit, and yeah, I don't need to do it, so I won't. I will take this opportunity to remind all of you, that's one that I forgot about. That is a stone of ephemeral eyes that I completely forgot about. There you go, so I am actually forgetting some of them, unfortunately. But, or at least I did forget that one. But I will take this opportunity to remind you all that it is technically possible to actually not get a colourless demon soul when you kill a primeval demon. I've been calling it a colourless demon, haven't I? It's a primeval demon. I just remembered it as I was speaking. They actually don't have a 100% drop rate, those colourless demon souls. So I can tell you that I have no recollection of failing to get one at this stage. It hasn't happened during this series, and I don't believe it happened in any of my previous video series before I was doing live streams, but it is possible. It is possible. Alright, so let's just put that colorless demon soul away, keep it safe. I'll put the hard demon soul away as well. Oh, I have 2 lead demon souls, how about that? And I'll consume these. Although I may not, no, I won't, because I'm at 31,000 and that's not going to be enough. Well, no, I didn't really have that experience, AJ. I mean, yes, if you killed... I don't think it was at random. Like, playing online, it was difficult to control your world tendency. I didn't really experience that. So if you kill an invading Black Phantom, yes, you'll have your world tendency shift. Or was that character tendency? No, I'm quite sure that was world tendency, as well as possibly character tendency. And then, yeah, like it... I don't believe it was at random. I think it just needed to be established what affects it and what doesn't. And all I can tell you is I didn't have trouble with it when I was playing the game when it had like quite an active community, so yeah. Doesn't mean that what you're saying is invalid, but it doesn't really correspond to my lived experience, so there you have it. Shall I complete this archstone? Yeah, I think I will. Let's do it the quick way. I'm not going to go the long way, fuck it. I don't feel like it. If I got more souls from these enemies, then I'm... Oh, do you know what? I do have a thrusting attack. Silly me. I should be doing that. I'm not too worried about that crystal lizard, by the way. Really? That doesn't one-shot you? Fuck off. I'm going to do the shortcut, and the reason why is because these enemies aren't really dropping much in the way of... souls, so... You're still alive? Go fuck yourself. 64 damage now. That's good. I've really gone through my full moon grass, haven't I? I'm obviously not going to use that stone of ephemeral eyes. How the hell? I'm not going to kill this guy with the bag because that's going to overburden me. Well, it may not, but it'll be on the edge. Alright. So yeah, I'm doing the shortcut because I just want to get back to being alive without using a stone. And I'm also feeling like I've spent too much time in... Oh, you dick! You fucking fool! How can you mess up this drop? You've been doing this a billion fucking times for what feels like most of your life, Doomlink. And you still fucking it up, like... Get a grip. Anyway, yeah, I feel like I've spent too much time in World 2, so I'm just going to finish it up. There's nothing that I really need that I can think of in the wider part of World 2-2. So... As you can see, I'm definitely playing it cautiously now. Yeah, falling is a scary thing in this game. Admittedly, pretty easy to mess up. So I shouldn't be too hard on myself. It was the first time I did the drop in ages, and I got the angle slightly wrong. Oh. Going the wrong way. Very much the wrong way. Alright, so I will be cheesing this boss, and the reason why is because I have reduced health, okay? That's the reason why. And also for expediency. That's another stone of ephemeral eyes that I forgot about. Okay, I've probably forgotten most of them. I'll admit it. I'll put my hand up and say I've probably forgot most of the locations. Which is slightly concerning, but whatever. I don't know, I'll equip the Regenerator's Ring because that'll help counterbalance, I guess, some of the damage that I take from using the hiltless. Alright. So yeah, I believe I've been pretty good about not using the exploit in this series. Because... oh, God. I managed to get around. But yeah, I've been good about not doing it because I think it takes a lot of the fun out of this fight. There we go. Maybe I'll do the strong attack. The strong attack will probably pierce it without much difficulty. No, even that's not quite right. Do I have a better weapon to use for this? Maybe the Uchigatana is slightly longer? Okay, that's better. You can see that that, strangely, has more reach than the hiltless. I wouldn't have known, to be honest. Ow. I'm rolling slowly. I might actually get my late moon grass out. I've ended up with the same amount. But yeah, I won't be using that exploit for the world tendency system. I think it's a bit much. I'm not completely opposed to things like that, generally. It's something that I might do if I'm going to... Well, actually, there's two things that are a bit of a shame about that. The first is that some of the satisfaction of online play is seeing the messages that are written down, and now most of the messages that you're going to see, probably, are designed to change world tendency. I could be wrong about that. Maybe people who do it will just do it in the Nexus or something, and it won't matter. I hate those lingering effects. But I feel like you're going to be more likely to see, you know, random messages that don't have much meaning because of that system. But yeah, just to explain, I don't think I was verbalizing it very well. For the benefit of the VOD viewers, basically, you can write specific messages and it will just immediately change your world tendency after having written those messages. So, there you have it. Oh, custom code messages are invisible. Okay. Well, it doesn't have that downside after all. But yeah, to me it's excessive. It's an excessive exploit. It's a really big part of the game that now basically doesn't exist if you choose to do that. Because to me, part of the balance of this game is the world tendency system. It affects... like, your performance is going to actually affect the difficulty of the monsters that you fight. To me, that's part of the beauty of Demon Souls. I think there's a lot to be said for that implementation. It doesn't exist in the other games, but to me it was good. And quite clever. So I think it's a shame to completely remove that. Effectively, by having messages where you can just alter your world tendency as you like. It's a shame. But I won't begrudge the people who do choose to use that from doing it. Obviously, it's much easier to do this with other weapons. The weapon that I'm using here is not working amazingly well, but... Actually, do you know what? I'll wait until he's really, like, fiery. If he's really fiery, he's a lot harder to fight. I'm doing this due to reduced health, you see. But I'm actually more concerned about... Oh, is he fiery? No, not yet. When he gets really fiery, you can barely see him, as I remember. Oh, he's dealing a lot of damage to me, though. Oh, look at that. And he's killed me. This is why. That's really frustrating. And do you know what? I'm actually going to end the live stream here because I made a mistake. You know, I had committed to this really, really slow but safe method. I then spoilt it, and now I have to do it all again. So I'm going to save that for the next recording. This has been fun, I guess. Ugh! I've died so many times in this recording, it's been ridiculous. But that's becoming a theme of my Souls recordings lately, annoyingly. But, yeah, I think what I'll do is next time I fight him, I'll just approach it that way. I'll fight him normally, and then I'll go behind that big spine when he's rather fiery, just to ensure that I get the guy killed. Alright, that's going to conclude this live stream. It's good to be back in Demon Souls. I played like shit, but I'm back, sort of. I don't know when the next recording will be, but the next, as far as what game I play next, it will definitely be Monster Hunter. So, I do thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.